And goddesses to the animosity smite realms. We are back with some new action for you tonight. It will be the Lux Esports against the Shinigami team of the Helheim division. It is finally time to bring the action right back to you. I hope you all have been waiting. This is going to be some good action. I'll be your host for the night, Jeering Lamb, joined by Zombie Tantalus back from the dead. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. Uh, kind of excited for these sets that are coming up this week. This division here, every game in the first week was a 2-1. There were literally 0 2-0s. So
Except
I'm
for
looking
one.
for this to
It
be
was
competitive.
Lux. Lux was the sole breaker of the rule. They were the
Oh,
one to change the script, flip it on its head against Fatal. So they, so far, have that advantage of being the only team to go up 2-0. Trying to
Jeering, did I
keep the
mention I'm illiterate?
streak. Reading is hard. And actually, there are more people dyslexic in the English language than any other language in the world, so don't feel too bad. It is very,
I'm not
very
sure
hard
that says more
language.
about the people or the language.
I'm going to go with the language, but in any case, we also have plenty of bands to read out really quick. Starting it off, Lux Esports, excuse me. Lux Esports is going to be getting rid of the Maman Brigitte, Thoth, and the Baba Yaga, 3 mages, notably, while, keep in mind, Shinigami is having to use their sub for mid. Raptor is going to be filling in for Nappa tonight. So 3 mage bands against their sub.
That's a little rough. I kind of question the Baba Yaga ban. I'm assuming we see something like Hachi Bologna locked in
I
here
will
immediately.
win peace by force.
Now this gives Shinigami an option here, right? Like they can look to take this Bologna, who pretty much dumpsters everything that's thrown against her in that lane. Kukulkan, also available.
Kukulkan will be picked up. It's important to note, for both sides, the 2 games either ADC has played has been on Hachiman. So this time somebody is going to be forced onto something different, and it looks like the Shinigami ADC will be the first one to start that out. And the
Here
Shinigami
we
will
go.
also be picking up the Bologna for the solo lane, a very impactful and relevant auto attacker for the solo lane to keep the pressure high. Looks like Shinigami starting off with a very solid draft. But now, Lux Sports has 2 picks to try and round it back. What do you think they're looking for?
No mercy.
Didn't get a chance to say support, but they did in fact take their support here. Ares doesn't offer a whole lot in the way of peel, but he does a wild amount of damage. He can be a real nuisance in the team fights if he's hitting his chains, getting that cripple. The god can be a problem. Now we've got Ra. Not something we saw really, up towards the end of last year, but I've been seeing him a little bit going into the season 11. Biggest thing he suffers from is kind of a lack of mobility. Other than the outright movement speed, he doesn't really have an escape. But positioning.
Ra is definitely going to be one of those positional characters, especially when you have access to that searing pain, especially if you can get the follow-up off of the no escape from the Ares. That can turn into a very brutal combo, especially if you don't have beads. So you're going to have to be very careful if you're playing somebody on Shinigami. And looks like they're picking somebody who's going to have some of that CC immunity, the Charon. So far in the division with an 80% win rate. 5 games played already. Charon is looking very scary for this division, and it can certainly make sense with stats like that why the Shinigami value that support pick this early. Going into the final stage of bans, however, Shinigami's going to get rid of a jungle way of Daji, and Luxport's going to get rid of that on her that can be so pesky into that Hachiman matchup. Talk to me a little bit more about why they would want to get rid of that on her.
Well, on her is as good of a hunter as you could ask for. He fits into almost any meta. He's very safe. He's got the CC immunity and burst on his ult. He's got a leap. That pillar can be a problem in fights. Just in general, that god can be annoying to play into. And with the Ishtar ban following it, just about your best option left here is either Rama or Shablanc.
Death comes by night.
And it looks like that will be the choice Shinigami takes. Picking up the ADC right away. They still have one more slot. They're going to have to pick up their jungle last. But for now, they're at least going to get to see the final picks from Lux. And it looks like their Thor is going to be hovered. This could be a very impactful team fight, especially around the first beacon that I'm seeing so far. How do you feel about all this team play coming out from Lux side?
It's a lot of dive. It is a load of dive. You've got the Anvil of Dawn, you've got the Achilles, you've got the Ares, you've got Hachi and Ra casting out of the back. Like this is a dive team. Over on the other side, though, that's a lot of counter dive.
May the gods of Valkyrie surround
Charon
you.
does great in these team fights. He's got the displacement with his ult. He's got the root, not to mention the shield that he can give his teammates on the two while they're doing damage, which, with something like a Bellona that's already hard to kill, can make that even harder. With the Odin lock-in, though, I'm kind of assuming this Bellona is going in the jungle.
I was getting ready to mention that. The Allfather comes down to the battleground himself, and that gauge is certainly going to be very impactful in every team fight. But overall, that still leaves Bellona going into the jungle, not somewhere we usually see Bellona playing. Especially into a Thor, how do you feel about that jungle matchup?
If that is a Bellona jungle, I like her chances. I think Bellona is a really undervalued jungle. I mean, I don't even know that she's undervalued, to tell you the truth. I think it's just she is so good in the solo lane that it's like, why would you put it anywhere else? Which Odin can jungle. That may still be going to solo. Odin
Weekend would
jungle's not
disagree.
unheard of.
I think Weekend would have some words to say about that one. But we certainly have quite a rounded roster here coming up from Shinigami. Some really good picks in what we thought was going to be the solo, but turns out to be jungle, apparently. Kukulkan in the mid and Karon support. Looks like we have quite a game lined up for us for this week 2 matchup. And now that game 1 is ready, we finally get to see how the action will turn out. Now that we actually get to look at this, we see it is in fact going to be the Odin going to the jungle, being held up by Sir Ionicus. This is not a usual place we see Odin, and in fact, we don't usually see an Odin in this meta at all. How are you feeling about this pick, especially into the other team?
So I like the pick. Like, I like the god itself into specifically the Lux comp. There is a grand total of one person on Lux's side that can get out of that cage, and that's assuming that he has ult or his hammer up. If used right, Odin can do very well in this matchup. Now, whether I would have had the Bellona jungle over the Odin is a different story.
It's certainly possible that the solo laner is just looking for more of the comfort of having that Bellona rather than the Odin, since it is in fact going to be a substitution on that role. But we still certainly have a little bit of a unique matchup with that Odin in the jungle against Thor. like you said, the late game possibility or even the mid game fight of trying to get out of those cages is going to be a very serious problem for the side of Lux. But overall, though, I personally really like the amount of damage coming out from Lux, and it looks like they're already getting started dashing in. Hachiman does find a stun off of the dash, looking for some extra damage. The flames from Ares are going to burn down Alpha really hard. So now Mr. Alpha is going to have to be very careful about the next engagement that they step up for. Looks like Lux will be heading over to the left side of the map very early, trying to find the gank, but without that level 3, you don't have the wall, can't find the stun, so you're mostly just there for presence. Tyrannicus looks to be in the area, but looks like for now, we won't be seeing any early kills, unless, of course, Swift Voyage isn't available. Falling very low, Charon will survive for now, but a good Aegis will survive the Bird Bomb coming out from Odin. Won't find the stun, but a Tornado will find some damage. And it looks like we've got quite a fair amount of action to start off this game, but so far, no first bloods.
Yeah, there is a lot of scuffling going on. Speaking
Looks like
of,
back in mid, Beads already Forest Cuckoo trying to get away, but with low health and even lower mana, trying to run away from the Thor and the Ra. Odin looking to find the return killed. Berserker's Barrage will do it. Lux will have the first kill onto Raptor. The substitute will not be surviving that engagement, and first blood goes the way of Lux.
yeah, was just about to comment on how much they are just scuffling around right now, and yet another gank moving into
And a
mid.
nice double stun coming out from Hachiman, getting off the AI Jutsu, does find both of them, but the damage will not be quite as good. And will instead force the Shinigami dual lane back towards their tower line. Overall, though, looks like so far in the solo lane, very, very standard things going on. Little bit of scuffling as everywhere else in the map, but that seems to be more normal for this lane. The only difference is it seems like Bologna has the pressure, but not the health bar this time.
Yeah, and that can happen. Achilles can outrange her a little bit, but she's going to outclear him hard. So, you kind of get that trade-off there.
Speaking of the trade, here comes Thor coming in, but a lot of damage onto the Ares falling extremely low. It will be one death going the way of the Charon, but Charon himself falling extremely low, trying to run away from Lux, but the Ayujutsu gets the good stun onto Alpha Awaken. Here comes the banner calling down from the heavens, and that will be good for the second kill. And that will actually end up being 1-for-1 overall in this fight, but one of those kills going to the support, the other going to the enemy ADC. So it'll be a nice bit of extra farm in the pocket for the Lux side of the duo lane.
Yeah, if you're on the Shinigami side right now, the kill going to that Hachi was not what you were wanting. Hachi already very strong right now and does kind of have pressure over Xbalanque in the lane anyway. So he can look to turn this little bit of a lead into something further. So far, the Odin jungle's keeping up, though. If not a little bit ahead.
The farm is slightly ahead. Build path seems to be exactly the same, but Odin just seems to have a little bit more XP online, which means that Jotun's Wrath is going to be coming up slightly earlier. Those team fights could certainly come online just as early, if not earlier. But the Thor has the advantage of being able to rotate around those walls. And here comes the Anvil of Dawn dunking right in. Bean's taking a lot of damage. Still holding on to the Eagle's Rally, though. Already has quite a fair amount of damage onto Tip Top. But luckily, the threat of the Bono just holding that Eagle's Rally would be enough. But meanwhile, in the dual lane, Sir Ionicus picks up one kill. The Odin finds it. Now running away, the Hachiman trying to survive. Ares already gone for the second kill, and the cage will not be in time. And it looks like for now, Randall will survive without any further damage and able to play safely from the tower line.
I had questions about this Odin pick, and my questions are being answered. He's playing it well. He is not trying to force anything. He's there when he's needed. He's getting his farm at the correct times. It's being played very well right now.
And it really seems like you were asking the questions about the Odin jungle, but to me it feels like Sir Ionicus is the one asking the questions of the other team. 7 levels on that Odin compared to only 5 on the Thor. The Thor rotates in with Anvil of Dawn to the solo lane and gets pushed back to tower. Meanwhile, Odin goes over to the dual lane, gets a kill, and walks away for pretty much nothing. It really seems like it's setting the pace. And here comes a good stun under the Ares Fallen, extremely low, trying to go in. Chibalake dashing in, trying to find the bolas. Here comes No Escape, but not in time. Ionicus has 1 kill, forcing the beads. Randall is in a dangerous position. Mounted Archery comes out for some more damage. Alpha Wiccan will be forced to back away, but they do still have the kill onto the Ares. Now 0-3, not looking at an ideal start for more aggressive support.
Yeah, Shinigami are putting a lot of pressure on this duo lane, and part of that is because of the Ares pick.
And Bill Dawn right under Totem finds a good stun, a lot more damage coming with it. Here comes Fatal Strike, not on the mark, forced away because of the wall, and Can of Beans will survive. This time, it will be another unfortunate gank for the Lux jungle, and once again, the Bellona lives to tell the tale.
I had to look over to the ult timers on the right side there, because the first thought that went through my head was like, either she doesn't have that ult, or this is the most disciplined and brave Bellona player I've ever seen in my life.
But here comes Sir Ionicus to return the gank, catches him with a nice cage, but a beautiful stun coming out from Tip Top, finds double. Here comes Eagle's Rally for the stun. Even more damage on the way. Bludgeon not on the mark, but the Bird Bomb, not even needing the jump, will get the job done. And that'll be the 3rd kill, making it a killing spree for this Odin jungle that nobody saw coming.
Lux is seeing it coming right now, and he is making his presence known.
He's making
His
his presence
rotation is
felt.
spot
The
on.
presence is also felt in the melee lane, forcing Summon the Sticks very early. Ares gets caught under the tower, taking a lot of damage. Here comes No Escape, only pulls to 1. Spirit of the Nine wins, looking for Summon, but Sarionicus already has the kill. Lux going up into the sky, drops right back down, forces the beads out of the Odin, continuing to chase the Ra, but a beautiful wall with some great peel. That was a beautiful play from Lux to get the Ra out of dodge. And Shinigami will pick up the support, but barely not able to find a second.
Yeah, Lux need to kind of slow things down here. They do have advantage in one lane at least. Their duo, their Hachi, is ahead. That's a great god to have ahead. They just need to slow things down here and try to stem this bleeding. Odin is not going to scale into the late game anywhere near as well as the Thor. So these fights that they're taking around the jungle here, around the Odin, they're great right now, but he's not going to provide that same presence at 30 minutes.
And you point out that in the dual lane, the ADC is actually 2 levels up, despite the fact that Hachiman 1-0-0, but the Chibalanque 0-1 with 3 assists. I would have thought normally the lead on the ADC would go the side with 3 assists, but it seems the just farming potential of Randall to keep in it and continue getting that XP at all turns seems to prove invaluable right now. Sarionicus looking for a purple buff invade, but here comes the rest of the team trying to make a rotation. Raw already here, Ares on the way, going up into the sky, Thor looking for the dunk, but Expo going with Darkest of Nights to slow them down. Thor trying to land, gonna have to hammer out, running away from the stun, but it's just gonna go right under the Raw. The cage is gonna be good to slow them down quite a fair amount. Spirit of the Nine wins to try and break it up. Some of the sticks just hitting everybody along the way. Sarionicus has now on a rampage. 5 kills, this time on the ADC, finally shutting down that Hachiman. And a beautiful Searing Pain is gonna force Shinigami to rethink any engagement they might take in the future. ADC very low, but the rest of the team still fairly healthy. They may not be in the presence of a Gold Fury call right now, but they definitely are feeling good.
Yeah, I think Shinigami could have definitely looked to pull the Gold Fury there. Thor is a couple levels. He's down in XP, low health, not really a lot of retaliation potential.
But there it is in the mid lane. Raptor just gets picked up and picked off. Beautiful team play. Lux coming in with the good stun, Kaiser with the follow-up, and the damage from both will be more than good enough. And looks like you were saying earlier, Lux needs to find a way to stop the bleeding and really turn it around. Seems they found it in the mid lane.
Yeah, when you're down, any kill you can get, any invade you can get, any objective you can get is a good one. Like I said earlier, Thor is going to scale better than this Odin. The Kukulkan Ra matchup, secure-wise, I actually kind of give it to the Ra because that Searing Pain is going to cast faster than the 9 wins. But, both mages have great team fight potential in the late game. That helps.
Eagles rally coming out for the blue buff, but here comes Swift Voyage to keep him in place. Tip Top taking quite a bit of damage, but a nice stun. Searing Pain, even better. Coming in with the dunk. Tip Top has one execute. Make it 2. Double kill. Lux has turned that around. I honestly could not even see that one coming. It looked like just a blue invade, but no, completely turned on its head. Shinigami gonna be left reeling after that loss.
I bet they don't visit his blue buff again. That was excellent. Excellent rotations coming out of Lux. Great call. They killed it.
That was a beautiful turn, coming in just in the nick of time. But Gold Fury, more important than the beacon. Kukulkan holding onto the Spirit of the 9 Winds, dropping it just in time, but not enough. Secure. Shinigami still get it with the help of the Odin. Anika's trying to run away, going to be forced to use the beads, using that extra little bit of shielding to try and run away. Mounted archery going to be good. Randall finally gets the shutdown onto Ionicus, looking for some more follow-up. Lux have 1 kill. They may have lost the Gold Fury, but they definitely do have the Odin shutdown, and that's going to be a nice feeling to have, if nothing else. And they still have some numbers to try and go for the Stygian Beacon, especially with the new change to the Stygian Barrage. Lux going right up into the air, looking for the dunk to try and save the team. Not going to be in time. Already 1 down, but looking for the stun. Won't quite find the wall. Going to have to hammer out, but a Searing Pain is going to be on the mark again. And Raptor is going to be forced to get out of dodge. And it looks like this time Shinigami have the numbers for this Stygian Beacon. Lux still in the area, but neither him nor the Ra are going to have ult available. Looking for some damage onto Alpha Awaken, but with the help of a Tornado, Swift Voyage going to be forcing the beads very cleanly off of Lux, but some of the sticks looking to try and force some extra damage. Not going to be enough to kill, barely, but enough to force them off the Stygian Beacon, and Shinigami will walk away with both the objectives down the kill.
Yeah, so far, Shinigami maintaining their presence. Lux has stemmed the bleeding a bit. It's not as out of control as it started to look for a couple of seconds. XP is actually favoring Lux right now. Gold, it's a 300 differential. In the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. That's, a health pot per player. Great job from Lux here, kind of bringing this back.
Showing that they're definitely still in this, even though they may not have had an ideal start to the game. But Lux definitely still in it, and their team play potential has really just been off the charts. Not to mention Kaiser with these Searing Pains. I don't think I've seen them miss yet.
I was about to ask, have you seen him miss one? Because I don't recall it.
And watching what just happened on that blue buff, like you said, if I'm Shinigami, I'm not touching that thing with a 39.5-foot pole. That was just absolutely mean. Here comes Mounted Archery, though, chasing down Alpha after taking the tower. But with the help of the Odin now making the presence, gonna force Randall to jump away. But here comes the blink, and Cage is gonna be good, finding plenty of damage, but the crits coming out from Randall gonna be forced to use the beads. Here comes the Shiblanke dashing right in, and the damage are gonna be good. Alpha picks up the kill, but here comes the Thor coming in for the dunk, finds 2! Already got the beads and Aegis out of 1. Odin trying to jump away. That shield going to be coming in clutch to try and survive. But here comes the Charon to go for the peel. And Shiblanke has quite a fair amount of damage of his own. The rest of the team coming in. Chains are going to be good onto Raptor, trying to help out the team, but instead taking quite a bit of damage from the Ares. But now everybody turning onto the Ares. Swift Boy to get the root, taking quite a bit of damage, but no escape coming through. Gonna pull the beads off of one. Searing Pain not on the mark for the first time this game, it feels like. And
Yep.
Kaiser just will not be able to find a kill off of that one, but the beads from Raptor definitely saved quite a fair amount of that health bar. And it seems, for now at least, Shinigami and Lux are more interested in going back to farm. Gold Fury's not up just yet, but Pyromancer seems to be quite on the table as all 4 members of Shinigami rotating over to the mid lane. Just for Darkest and Nights to be popped, forcing a lot of damage. Aegis already used. Here comes Eagle's Rally. Not able to find it. Beats still for Spirit of the Nine Winds coming around. Picks it up. Lux will be going down. First member to fall on this side, and a lot of damage. Searing Pain going to be good onto Can of Beans, forcing him to get out of this fight. But Shinigami not willing to drop it just yet. Still 4-on-4. The Ra is still hitting plenty of heart, even without that Searing Pain. And so far, Shinigami still a little bit low. Lux does have the advantage of that healing and sustain from the Ra, so you're going to have to be careful. But Ionicus does not care. Going in with the cage. Some of the sticks coming out to follow it up. But the Aegis is going to be good to buy a lot of time. Mounted Archery to get out. Tornado doing quite a bit of damage, but not enough. And now the turn is on. Lux going in. Not able to find the Fatal Strike execute off the mark, but Kaiser still picks up one anyway, but falling extremely low. Here comes Odin. Earth Bomb will be good. Ionicus picks up the burnout. And that will be seemingly the end of what Lux can do in this fight. The rest are going to have to try and respond. Searing Pain barely short of killing Raptor off the back. So close, but here comes the Achilles to try and help the Ra. Trying to take down Sir Ionicus, but the shield is going to be good enough to buy enough time. But here comes Thor dunking right underneath the tower. Finds the extra stun. Berserker's Barrage going to be good. Alpha Awaken now trying to get the chase. Finds some slow with the help of the Eagles Rally. Trying to get some extra power, but not able to find it. Bludgeon will be enough, though. And here comes Raptor. Picks up Kaiser. Now looking for the turn of the tip top. Darkest and Nights to help. And Can of Beans will have the double kill. Pyromancer now looked at by Shinigami. And just as quickly as they pick it up, it will be dropped. And Lux
This is a
will not be able
bloodbath.
to do anything about it.
This is an absolute bloodbath. That fight went on in like 4 different iterations over the course of 2.5 minutes. That was absolutely wild. Shinigami finally kind of coming out on the top of it at the, 3rd iteration of that fight. Looked like they might be grouping up for Gold Fury now after just getting the pyro. Man, that Ra, the Searing Pain that went right next to Kukulkan, there is no way my man did not clinch when that happened. That would have scared the life out of me.
It almost scared the very life out of the Kukulkan, but looks like Spirit of the Nine Winds won't be enough to secure, but they still get it. Shinigami now going to be chasing out the mounted archery used by Randall, but Searing Pain to convince him it's not a good idea. Here comes Thor dunking in, trying to find the kill into the Charon. Berserker's Barrage once again does just enough. Lux picks up a good kill off the dunk. The rest of Shinigami now rotating over for the Stygian Beacon. Now 4-on-5. Lux do have the numbers advantage after losing the Gold Fury, but taking quite a fair amount of damage. Thor going to have to try and run away, but instead hammers back in. Bees and Aegis Forest not quite able to find the stun off of Mjolnir's, or excuse me, the attunement of Gungnir. What am I saying today? But now the turn is on to the Ares, forcing 3 being caught out by No Escape, but not able to find any follow-up off of it now. Darkest and Nights to try and continue the chase, falling extremely low. Randall is going to have to get out of there. And looks like for now, Stygian Beacon going to be picked up by the Shinigami. Lux not quite able to contest just yet, but Tip Top coming around to try and force something out of it. Rod does have the Searing Pain available, but Chaos will get it. Shinigami has the Stygian Barrage once again.
You are getting a workout tonight. The the Bellona here, we kind of saw it in that last little tussle over there near the green buff. She's doing an absurd amount of damage, and that's only going to get worse as this Axe of Animosity comes online. She'll probably be getting Kinsai in that 5th item slot there. Look for this Bellona to be a monstrosity here in about 8 minutes.
In 8 minutes, the balloon is already looking like a monstrosity, doing quite amount of work already. Just the presence alone, not to mention the stun off that Eagle's rally, soaking up all that damage with the thorns. Can of Beans may be subbing in here, but already doing a fantastic job for the team. Honestly, overall, Shinigami looking very, very solid. They've had a couple slip-ups, the occasional unfortunate fight, but overall, it really just seems to be Lux being able to rotate in with the Anvil of Dawn and Kaiser just erasing everything on the Searing Pain. That's really their main trouble.
Yeah, and that's we kind of touched on it in picks and bans, but that's kind of what this Lux comp does. It is a dive comp. You've got the Thor going in, you've got the Achilles blasting in, Ra's firing out of the back, Ares is diving. Um, and if they're only killing one person and burning all of this, that's gonna turn into a net win for Shinigami in the long run of that fight.
Especially when those fights get extended, but the healing from Kaiser are going to be helpful. Darkest Knights pulled early to try and find some damage onto that Ares, but he's going to be taking enough to just eat it all up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a midnight snack to boot. Taking basically no damage once Kaiser drops a little bit of heals on his head. And overall, Lux feeling very tanky right about now. Sir Ionicus does have that Spectral to try and survive going against that Hachiman, but not quite able to tank enough of that Ares. Going to be forced to use the cage very early, and here comes Thor going up into the ult very early. Nope. Escape coming out very early, trying to burn the beads, but it looks like Lux not interested in going underneath the tower against 3. Instead, going to land back in the safety of mid lane, right into the hands of Bologna. Here comes Eagle's rally to catch 2. Beads and Aegis already good from the Thor, but falling very low. Annika's going to have to watch out. Here comes the execute, not going to be on the mark, juked by the jump. And now Shinigami looking to get right back into the action, trying to chase down Bologna around the side, forcing them right back into the mid lane. Swift Voyage going to be stopped very early, though, by a good stun out of Tip Top, trying to get some presence, really. Here comes Searing Pain. Not going to be quite on the mark to try and find Saronicus, but it buys enough time for Raptor to pick up Lux around the backside. Spirit of the Nine wins. Not going to find the kill, but Shinigami falling extremely low on 3. About half on the rest, but Lux
That
not
damage.
much better, just trying to survive. A single Zephyr could just end the fight right here and now if they can hit it. Shinigami also, they have the range, they have poke potential, but so does Lux. A single stun could turn this fight on its head and end it in a second. And right now, it's just a matter of time until somebody steps a little bit too far forward, or Kaiser gets that Searing Pain back online and just decides to take somebody out of the fight. But for now, looks like Pyromancer will be more interesting to the Shinigami than continuing the fight that they don't have that healer for. Darkest of Knights just to buy them some extra time so they don't know. Ra looking for the Searing Pain, finds it, but gets taken out by Raptor immediately. Almost was a steal. Did find the support, but unfortunately, mid laner does go down. So that's not going to be the best of trades for Lux.
Yeah, the Charon getting lost here. He's level 15, got a respawn timer of probably 30-35 seconds. It's a good pick. Good that you got something for that pyro, but not gonna make a lot of difference in the long run here. Shinigami are pulling this Gold Fury over here. They should get it.
Thor up into the air. Shinigami does have it. Spirit of the Nine wins. Going to be just a little bit late. Thor coming in for the dunk. Will find some damage. Not enough to turn the fight. Here comes the cage to keep 3 locked in. And Bologna just continuing with the damage. Does get stunned out. Going to have to watch out for the execute. Going to be forced to use Eagle's Rally to try and get out of there. But Shinigami's continuing to pump out the damage in Tip Top. Taking quite a fair amount of damage. Not quite in Tip Top shape anymore. That man is going to have to go on a journey back to Fountain. But Thor coming around the back, looking for the wraparound. Going to have to just get out of there, but just obliterated, exploded, whatever word you choose, completely gone in an instant. Lux will not be able to make that trip for the gank. So Shinigami instead will go ahead and pick up another Stygian Beacon for themselves, and Lux not going to be in a position to try and contest this one.
Yeah, they may look to go pull this fire here, maybe pick a fight at it. You know, they're in a good spot to do it. The mids are right on par. You know, ADC level differentials, you know, not that meaningful now. We're approaching the level 20 mark. Everything's going to start to kind of even out. I did notice here that Bologna opted for the Void Shield instead of going for the Kinsai.
That
Uh,
that is true. Normally, you'll see like the Shinsai or even an Executioner to try and get some of that extra damage online with the attack speed. But it seems like Canna Bean's confident in the damage already. But right now, it looks like Sarnicus looking to try and find some damage under the side of Lux, but taking quite a fair amount from a laser beam out of Ra. Gonna be forced to play a little bit safer in that aggression. Besides, it's only an Ares you're trying to poke out. That Ares is still very, very tanky, even if they are only level 15. Now that we're heading about 26 and a half minutes in, like you said, Fire Giant might be on the docket. But here comes a cage already forcing Ra into an unfortunate situation. Some of the sticks coming in to just continue. Eagles rally on top of it. Here comes Darkest and Knights to try and continue the chase down, trying to find it. Spirit of the Nine Winds will not be in time. Owen's already got it. Sarnicus has one. Thor coming in to try and buy some extra time, but Brando forced onto the mounted archery just to get out, creating Bologna for maybe 200. No escape to try and pull Bologna back under tower, and a beautiful wall from Thor to keep them in there longer. And the execute will be good. Tip-top Journeyman finally taking down that pesky Bologna. Now Ionic is going to have to run away unless he finds himself within execute range. And the rest of Shinigami going to have to go on without their solo laner.
yeah, that is an unfortunate pick for Shinigami there. You know, you had him outnumbered 5-4. You could have definitely looked to force the issue at fire. And now that's not quite as much of an option. Probably going to wait for everybody to get back up, get some of these builds and items ironed out. You know, Bologna is going to end up getting that Axe of Animosity. And, you know, that's going to be a huge damage buff. Thor's almost at the level 20 mark. We're getting to the end game here. We're almost there. We're about to end up seeing some firefights.
Odin picking up Protector of the Jungle there too.
Yeah, it's a pretty good pickup in his situation. You know, it gets you some power for the scaling on your abilities. It gets you some protections. Gives you the bonus. You get the bonus protections in the jungle and bonus power. And they're about to be fighting over fire. So yeah, I think that's a great pickup.
Definitely going to be coming in handy when you want to try and survive some of the damage that's been coming out of the side of Lux. But so far, Shinigami's been able to return a lot of that damage just as much. Even if it has to come from different sources, they're all there as a team to make it happen. 17-11 on the kills board. It's definitely been a relatively close game, but it really is going to be coming down to these firefights to see who can really pull ahead and try and make something happen. And those tornadoes from the Kukulkan just tearing up these fights and splitting them apart is really going to be critical between those Odin cages, the Eagles rally. It's really going to be a matter of space. And so far, Lux is not feeling too great on the space, trying to use the range that they have with the Ra, the Hachiman. They're just not able to find it. Where is the break for Lux in this?
Well, you know, we saw it in the beginning of that last fight. Shinigami went directly for Ra. Do not pass go, do not do anything else. They went straight on Ra. And, you know, that makes me feel like they were aiming to pull fire there before Bologna got picked at the back end. Because with the death of that Ra, the Secure's free. Lux need to keep him alive and keep themselves alive here.
And speaking of, they're not going to be able to do that for Ares, trying to go into the no escape for those mitigations, but not in time. Alpha Wiggin has the kill. Mounted Archery going to be good to try and get away from that Eagles Rally, but Thor coming in with a beautiful dunk. Spear of the Nine Winds takes Kaiser out of the fight. But around the backside, Tip Top trying to do some more damage. Has him relatively low. looking to get into execute range, finds it, but the Aegis will be good to prevent it. A nice double stun, trying to find some extra damage. Here comes Anikas to find the kill onto Lux. Randall trying to do something to return the 1 for 3 kills, but not able to do enough. Here comes Zabalona now. With the help of Odin and the Swift Voyage, Tip Top is not going to be able to move very far, and the shields come in very handy to keep him in the fight. Tip Top has plenty of mobility, so instead Shinigami are going to have to settle for the Stygian Beacon. Without the ADC, not going to be able to go for that Fire Giant, and Randall not feeling quite brave enough to fight for that Beacon this time.
Yeah, that was a really smart thing for Lux to do at the end of that. You know, even though you lost the fight, you got out traded there. They made sure that Alpha was dead. And without the carry there, it resets, and they're going to go again in a minute. Lux have got to, moving into this next fight, Lux really need to take care with their positioning around this jungle. You know, between that Eagles rally, between the Odin cage, the Kukulkan whirlwinds, some of these jungle corridors are death traps. So, you know, I'd like to see them maybe spread out a bit, kind of on the back end over towards the buffs, get some ward coverage up, and be really careful about pushing up into this team.
It's definitely going to be really difficult for Lux to try and get in. Like you said, that corridor becoming a death trap makes it really hard for them to position. When Achilles wants to use that mobility to dash around from side to side, weave his way into the fight, but when you lose an entire lane that you can take, you can only go one direction with those movements, and it's really going to be hard for them to get in trying to do something like that. And like we just saw, the Ares does not have a movement ability, so your ability to try and rotate around the map is going to be extremely hindered. And Shinigami going to take advantage of that, already pulling the Pyromancer. Odin coming around the backside, finding a cage on 3. Here comes the Eagles Rally. Spirit of the Nine Winds around the backside, forcing out the alternate timeline, but not enough. Can of Beans already has 1. Alpha Awakened has 2. Looking for the execute, trying to find it. Tin Can won't find it. Tip Top, not Tin Can, what am I saying? Raptor finds him on the back, but Mountain Archery trying to run away. Randall trying desperately to escape from the chase down coming from Shinigami's entire team. With the help of Lux, him and Randall's trying to escape back to the safety of Phoenix, but it's not looking too safe. Not when you got 5 members chasing you down. Without that stun from the wall, the bombs are going to be dropped. The mid-bird going to be taking some damage. Can of Beans trying to find some damage, but taking some in return too. Bird is going to be dropped eventually, and that tornado doing just enough. Randall could not escape. And such tragedy for Lux. It's just Lux on that Thor left alive, trying to survive and buy some time. Shinigami is not looking super healthy right now, but they still have a couple more seconds before the rest of the team is up. And they're going to have to run away from the Thorodon coming in. Finds 1, gets the kill onto Ionicus. Not looking for more, though. He's got what he came for. He's going to prevent them from going for the big objective. He's bought the time, so Fire Giant will at least survive for a little bit longer.
Yeah, you know, we saw it there. We saw it on that the pyro fight. You know, it looked like Lux wanted to go in and aggress, and the Darkness of Night came out. Odin jumped in, Odin caged, and that just became a kill lane for Shinigami. You know, they got a bird out of it. They've got these towers down pretty low. Definitely are going to be looking to pull this fire in the very near future and try and press this down into another bird and, you know, maybe try and end here. But with the way Lux are playing, they're gonna have to get picks. You know, Lux is not going to lay down and let them take these objectives. They've shown already that they're more than willing to fight them on it, for better or worse.
And especially in that mid game, they were taking some of those fights and they were successful on them. They've had those opportunities where they made the plays, they came out with some advantage, and they were turning Shinigami on their heads. But right now, they're just not able to find it at all. Just losing these fights one after the other. It feels like fish in the barrel anytime they fight in the jungle. And it's not even like they're just all standing directly on top of each other. It's just Ionicus getting there at the right moment. Can of Beans jumping in with the Eagles rally to keep them there. And the damage and follow up from the rest of Shinigami is just cataclysmic for the entirety of Lux. No matter how much they try their best, it just feels so rough to play into that Odin cage. And Lux, they're trying their best to find the opportunity, but right now, they have not quite been able to crack the code. Blinking in, Ionicus going in very early, but going to be able to get out very quickly. Lux already going to be extremely low. The ADC over in the mid lane. Shinigami has a numbers advantage. Now chasing down on this area. He's trying to find some damage. No escape to buy some extra time. Going to force the beads out of one. Thorns out of Bologna. Here comes Spirit of the Nine Winds. Not quite on the mark, but splits them up. It's going to buy Shinigami some extra time. And keep in mind, Randall is all the way on the left side of the map. Shinigami has plenty of numbers advantage. They haven't seen that Hachiman in a while. As soon as they see him pop up on this left side of the map, that should be the go button for that EFG. They have plenty of time on that split push. Tier 2 still up on the duo side. Randall has
Well,
got to take that tower down and get back. Otherwise, Lux is going to have to try and buy a lot of time.
well, realistically, Shinigami cannot look to 50-50 this fire right now, even though they do outnumber. With that 9 wins down, Searing Pain's going to outsecure you every time. So that's a big win.
And it looks like Randall has recognized his time has run thin. Odin has already rotated to try and stop the split push. They got to defend mid lane, protect the Titan, keep their mid bird up if they can. Stygian Barrage is already down. Only one tower left on solo side. Lux is running out options. The Fire Giant already now being started by Shinigami. They don't have that split push running. They've got to try and race back to the pit in time. They do have all the secure on their kit
I don't even
available.
think they know what's
So does
happening.
Shinigami. They're just nowhere near. They don't know. They have no clue what's happening, and Odin's going to buy time. Darkest and Night's already being popped just to slow him down even further. The cage is burned. Here comes Spirit of the Nine Winds. There goes Summon the Sticks, and the Fire Giant is gone. Shinigami have it. EFG on all 5. Lux none the wiser, but the good news is none of them have been picked on the fight. They're still alive. They can try and make something. A lot of resources burned. Blink coming out from the Odin. Eagles Rally catches 2. Here comes the damage. Saronion already has 1. The Phoenix less than half HP. It's going to be burned very quickly. 4 people caught with no escape. Going to be trying to escape. Ares will go down very quickly. Already in the air though. Thor looking for the right time. Execute coming in to try and escape. But Thor going to go in for the stun. Teleport away from the hammer. Rando looking for some split push, but the mid-bird already gone. Entering the throne room, Shinigami 5 members strong with EFG. Lux trying to pull some defense with only 2, but Titan, it's already quarter HP. No ADC in sight, no hope, no Titan. Shinigami take game number 1.
When split pushes go wrong. Unfortunate timing on that.
That is very true. Not all split pushes are going to work, and this time, Randall is not going to be able to get away with it. Trying to look for something to buy some time for themselves. Lux, that seems like the type of play that you got to make when something's not working and you got to switch it up. Unfortunately, it's not going to work for Lux. It might have bought them a little bit of time on that previous Fire Giant dance, but not this time. Not when Shinigami can pull it with your team none the wiser. And this game is going to be a nice victory for Shinigami to take. Had a little bit of rough patch in that mid game when Lux was starting to turn it around, but it's overall definitely going to be a great feeling for the entirety of the team. That was a great team effort.
It was, and despite losing, Lux have proven that they can stand toe to toe in the fight. So, moving into this next game, um, I think if you're Lux, you look to get rid of this Kukulkan or play it, whichever you need to do, but that you do not want that god back on the enemy side. All of the members of Shinigami were playing well, but the sheer zoning capability of that Kukulkan whirlwind is just it's oppressive. It's absolutely oppressive.
And not just the zoning, but the amount of damage it was doing too, climbing all the way up to 35,000 player damage. Raptor didn't have the best of starts for the mid lane, but by the time it hit late, that was turned on its head and doubled again. That damage was so good. The secure from Spirit of the Nine Winds kept objectives in their favor. And even in those fights, as soon as I see that giant dragon coming out of the sky, I just knew somebody was going to have a really, really bad day. As for now, though, looks like they're just going to have to take the victory. Lux will have to take the defeat, try and make some adjustments. Fortunately, though, they do have a little bit of a break to try and make those adjustments, talk out what their plan is going to be for game number 2. So we'll bring that action back to you here in just a few short minutes. Welcome back, gods and goddesses of the battleground. It is Animosity Smite Realms back again. We are here once again for week 2 action. This is going to be the game 2 of Shinigami versus Lux Esports. Shinigami taking game number 1 in a best of 3 set. Lux had some good plays, but unfortunately still will go down. So now they got to make some adjustments. So far for the bans, though, only one coming out, Mom and Brigitte. Exactly the same as last time. Definitely a fair ban, and warranted, I would say. Shinigami getting rid of the Athena once again. What bans do you think in the top 3 Lux are looking to switch up?
I mean, if it was me, I'm definitely
Yep.
That's the one. Good job, boys. You're doing great. Uh, Kukulkan is just public enemy number 1 of the mid lane right now. Like, get it out of there, and all of a sudden, those fights that were going so wrong in those jungle corridors become doable.
And especially if they can get rid of something like that Odin or control it more, that was such a demanding presence that they had to respect at every turn. You try and walk around in the jungle at all, you see that Odin and you just know your time is drawing to a close. As soon as that cage comes down, Eagle's Rally going to be coming in out of the sky, Spirit of the Nine Winds, and if nothing else, just the bull is coming out from the Shibalanke. That will also signify it's time for you to go back to Fountain. So definitely a good
Yeah.
idea to get rid of the Cuckoo. But other than that, doesn't look like they've switched anything else up. Once again, taking the Hachiman, Lux perfectly comfortable on that. Seemed like they were doing quite fine on it. Game number 1, the safety from the mounted archery was very nice to have. Looks like Shinigami going right back to that Bologna. No need to switch it up if it worked.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, that's the best god in solo right now. If it's open, absolutely.
Looks like this time Shinigami not in at the Odin again, instead gonna grab the Thor that was on Lux last time. Man, this is starting to get really funky. Lux is the jungle on the Lux Esports team. This is so much fun. Thor gonna be going this way of Shinigami this time. They're going for the engage, and especially if you combine that with the Eagles rally, Shinigami really have the potential to just lock you down. And using CC duration, DR is not gonna matter if you have that much, I feel like.
Yeah, I
Even
mean,
gods must heed the scales of fate.
just those 2 gods, Bologna and Thor, that is already a crazy dive. In the mid game to the late game, if you get hit by those 2 and do not have some relics or an excellent movement ability up, you're gonna be gone. I do
Especially when
really
you're
like
looking
this
at
Nim.
Yeah, when I'm looking at that dive though, having Bologna and Thor, I don't know how I feel about that Merlin. It definitely does do quite a fair amount of damage, but when you don't have natural CC immunity in your kit and you're looking at that as what's going to be chasing you down in the late game, I don't know if I want the Merlin as my first pick. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I think Merlin is relatively safe. kind of unfortunate for Shinigami that they've already locked in that Thor, because a Daji could go nuts here. The Merlin is safer than some mid laners, less safe than others. You know, yeah, you've got the gods like Scylla that can just absolutely get out of dodge with the 3, but Merlin's no riskier than half of the mage roster right now. Um, I like the pick. It's great burn for your objectives. It's not great secure, so I would be looking for Shinigami to lean towards something with a good secure here. That Ra is an option. Scylla is an option.
Not anymore. They just banned it out.
Yikes!
The last ban. They heard what you were saying. They said, "Oh, secure god, get rid of him." I do notice though, the Baba Yaga has not been banned. That was something that they banned game 1.
Yeah, although not exactly what I would go to in my mind of great secure gods, but I guess better secure than Merlin.
Greetings,
Not that that's a
friend.
high bar to reach for.
Merlin's definitely one of those more shred than secure type of characters, but when you have a nemesis on your team too, the shred from Lux, you have to keep an eye on that objective, because if you turn around for even a second, it's just going to disappear. So having that secure could be nice, but the possibility of the Kepri, that is something I'm interested in. Shinigami taking a different take on support this time, opting away from the Charon that they had in game number 1, banning it up themselves, taking the Hug Bug. I actually really like this pick. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Thor Bologna, you don't really need your support to be diving. Thor and Bologna are going to take care of that quite well. So I do like them going with this more supporty, if you will, type pick.
Where are you going?
Kepri does it, and he does it well. Maui is a god that I haven't seen a lot of recently.
Maui is someone who genetics really made sure was on the map a while ago, but since then, we haven't seen quite as much Maui since a little bit of nerfs, increasing the cooldown on like the landfall, just to slow down a little bit what he could do. But it's nice to see him coming back into relevance, especially when the amount of damage you can be walking into with Merlin just dropping some ice, or even the fire burning you down if you get plucked out of position like that. It's going to be hard to say even a Kepri could save you at that point, especially when you've got a Kukulin and Nemesis doing the dive. You've really got the potential to dish out some of that damage.
Counterpoint. I don't think it was the nerfs that did anything to Maui. I think people played it for 2 weeks and realized that they weren't genetics.
You know, you may have a point there. This is why you do the smart person stuff. That's why I just spew words. You may have a point here.
If this Giannis gets locked in,
To my portals, that is.
I like it. I love it.
Giannis-
Great safety, great secure, excellent team fight. That is everything they needed out of their mid pick.
Not to mention the ability to rotate around the map. You already have a Thor. Adding a Giannis on top of that, you can get from one side of the map to the other and then back again because of the portals that they added in Season 11, which I think is such a fun mechanic, and I don't feel like we get enough opportunity to really have fun with it and shout it out. It's so much fun being able to rotate around the map. It can turn some fights on their head. But with a Thor and Giannis on top of that, and no global ultimates on the other side, Shinigami really have the potential to set the pace of this game and put their foot down and say, this is exactly when things are happening, and we're going to start them.
Yeah, I mean, Lux have the potential, they have the potential for a serious counter dive here. This Bologna's presumably going to use that Eagles rally to just kind of face plant the backline of Lux. And between that Merlin fire stance, the Nemesis ult, the Hachi, they have the potential to blow her up. Uh, I'm really looking at Lux to be playing in more of a counter fashion here, because they're with the Merlin against the Giannis, they're not going to really have that potential to just outright pull objectives in front of their face. They're not going to really be able to 50-50 it. They're going to have to either get picks or turn a Shinigami dive on its head.
And it really does feel like it's just going to be one of those two sides of a coin type of situation. Shinigami catches you out, you're going to be experiencing the video game more than you're going to be able to play it. But if Lux catches you out, the burn that they can just take away your health bar is going to be an alarming rate. The good news is, we're finally ready to show you how it all plays out. And the threads of fate have settled. It is time for game number 2. Let's get this bread.
All right. So far, nothing too weird here. Standard starts coming out from pretty much everybody. Cucullin opting for the Bluestone over the Warrior's Axe. Um,
A little bit out of the ordinary on that one.
I
Just a little
mean,
bit.
you lose out on a little bit of power and a couple of protections, but the late game damage of that Bluestone's great.
It's going to come in handy, but speaking of handy, that luck coming in to just keep Kepri back is going to slow down the Shinigami support a little bit. But overall, the fact that you have an Ishtar, Shinigami dual lane clear going to be feeling just fine against that Hachiman. Trying to get some poke back out of it, going in for the dash, catches out the Kepri, but taking a little bit in return though. Both the ADCs taking some of their health. Still going to have pots ticking, so you can still stay in lane, which is going to feel nice. But mid lane, this is where you gotta watch out. Last time, this is where we saw a lot of action brewing pretty quickly. You do have the ability of Giannis Portal to try and get away from that. And I'm gonna try and find the slow, but like I
As
said,
he does.
that portal it's just gonna clear it all out of the way. Not gonna have to worry about the slow when you can just go through walls.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I love about Giannis. He gets a massive amount of free percent penetration on the through space and time, and in general, I want to say it's 20% at max rank. You know, he's got so much utility. I just love the guy.
Awakening, trying to get some return damage in the dual lane, but it looks like it's just going to be the Maui cutout trying to get onto that swing, but not able to run away from Saraunicus. Double tap going to be good, and first blood going the way of Shinigami, this time going to Thor.
Yeah, Zepha's gonna have a tough time at this phase in the game on that Nemesis. Thor's level 3 is a good bit better than Nim's. Uh,
And
you know,
especially with Nem having that horn shard instead of the golden shard, your clear is going to be slowed down a little bit since that's basically just going to be a golden blade passive. And you're opting for the cooldown on a character that normally doesn't run quite as much of that cooldown as it does some attack speed and power. You want to be able to have that clear online, especially into the Thor.
yeah, and it's gonna be kind of tough for him to keep up at this point. But playing this Nemesis, you're really looking more to kind of wait for that level 5 anyway. So that's more when I expect to see him.
The Hugbug coming in aggressive. Randall's taking quite a bit of damage. Gonna have to dash away, falling extremely low. Gotta be down to single digits now. Gonna give Thor more than enough time to go right for that purple buff, but Giannis being left alone in the mid lane does have a little bit of health left. And the only health that matters is the last one, still able to survive. Raptor will be safe for now, but Saraunicus looking for a wrap around the other side of tower. Gonna catch the minions instead. Gonna have to back away and take some farm somewhere else on the map. While Lux getting some good pressure on the mid Harpies. Raptor trying to secure or steal away some of those Harpies, not quite finding the right opportunity to get in. Unstable Vortex, not gonna be in time. So you will lose some XP to the Merlin off of those camps. But if your Thor could hit level 5 here, that could spell some disaster for the Merlin.
Yeah, and well, speaking of which, there you have it. He just hit it right now. That Anvil of Dawn can be real nasty at this phase of the game.
Especially having that ability to rotate so quickly, getting from the jungle to lane that fast. It can really turn on its head, especially when you can go over top of wards that anybody might have placed. The ability of that rotation to get in there quickly and set up the play is really what's going to make Shinigami's early game so dangerous. We saw it last time. Saronicus was there right when he needed to be, set up the plays he needed to. Didn't really do everything for the team, but definitely made the impact necessary to get it done. But this time, he can just do it quicker.
Yeah, he really impressed me on that Odin jungle pick. That is just something I did not really think would work, at least in the capacity that he used it, because, of course it did well in the late game fights, but like that early game on it, he didn't fall behind. He was always present, made excellent ganks, really made it work. So, excited to see what he's going to do on the Thor.
Especially because Odin's not one of those characters that you think of as an early game presence. Speaking of early game presence, Maui looking to make it here in the duo side, just going to force out the beats very early. Blazer Retribution coming out very early, mounted archery to immune the stun, but you do still have the landfall available. Not going to pull it though. Tracer holding some good trigger discipline. Going to force the back from Alpha Awakened. Not going to jump the gun. You're just going to play safe, secure the farm, make sure that they have what they need. Almost getting hit by a fallen meteor. Randall going to have to dash away.
Do we know how much damage those meteors do? Because I've heard that they do damage, but I've never actually been hit by one.
They do definitely do a little bit of damage, but it's negligent. It's still double digit.
Well, see, now in my next casual game, I'm just gonna run under one for science.
Oh, like my teammates. They seem to enjoy doing that. I guess they're all testing their own theories about it. Here comes Hugbug, though, getting some good secure. Going to force Maui up into the swing. Going to catch a double stun, but with 3 here now. Lux turning it around. Forced up into the sky. Going to have the Scarab's Blessing to try and get out, but through space and time. Just going to come in so clutch. Raptor wisely getting teammates out of there. They're going to land right back down. Going to be caught, but Hugbug coming in clutch to try and get the peel out of there. With 4 members of Lux trying to chase him down, still looking relatively healthy. Shinigami on the retreat, but have the portos to wrap around and escape. Lux trying to find some invade here, but not going to be able to find it with the secure of that unstable vortex. Nice double tap coming out from Saronicus to get some extra damage, but a lot of damage still coming out from Kaiser. May not be the Raw, may not be Syrian Pain, but it is still some good damage, and if you're Shinigami, you still have to respect it.
Look, Thor just got away with murder there. His own murder. I physically was shocked to watch him not away, but back down into 3 people. That was
And still walk away.
Yeah. Like I said, he got away with murder. It was his own murder, but like he still got away with it.
Nemesis with the red buff, the unfortunate situation of both of the buffs dropping on the same time. So Lux going to be switching up who picks up what buff this time around. But luckily, not too many stats on the board just yet. So it's not going to be that impactful. Bologna losing the blue buff will feel impactful though. But in the dual lane, once again, Maui taking quite a fair amount of damage. Blazer Retribution good for the double stun, trying to find some more follow-up, trying to get the extra damage onto the Maui, able to just walk away. Once again, not burning the landfall, continuing to hold on to it. Might need it for that rainy day ahead. But so far, Kukulin finding the pressure onto the Bologna that Achilles wasn't, but Thor looking to try and make that wraparound. Does find a good stun, looking for the Berserker Barrage for some extra damage. Eagles rally, not going to find the stun, but going to be good to try and find a little bit of extra damage. But Giannis coming through here, comes through space and time, not on the mark. Thor coming in for the dunk, gets the Berserker's Barrage. Sure, Ionicus has the kill, finds a good stun, double tap, looking for some more. Rone's going to burn him away, though. Keep him out of that fight. fire going to be just a little bit too scary. Cyranicus not interested in that, instead looking for farm elsewhere on the map. But once again, Shinigami support keeping the presence in duo lane alive. This time, though, Alpha Awaken catching the level lead over his opponent.
Yeah, I presumably, we haven't really been over on that side all that much. But with the Kepri remaining in lane for so much longer, it's left for me to assume that, Alpha has been getting a lot more of this available neutral farm. Um, that's really all I could think, as far as this level differential goes, because as we saw with 3 assists in the last game, that single assist is not making up that difference.
They can certainly try, but Randall trying to get a little bit greedy here, staying with barely any health and even less mana. Blades of Retribution coming out, does find the stun, forcing the bees very early, trying to go for the extra hit, but barely living
How
by
much health
just
does
a
he
hair
have?
on his chin. Barely even 40 health
Brother!
after all that, but now Alpha Awaken gonna have to run away from Lux, trying to make the rotation. The rest of the team, it feels like, coming over. Nice double stun. Tracer does find some extra time for his nemesis, but still going to be able to walk away anyways. Shinigami's going to find a nice stun from the Thor. Unfortunately, not going to be able to find anything after that, though. So for now, looks like Shinigami's just going to have to take the presence that they have. May not be able to pull Gold Fury just yet without their ADC, but seems like they definitely are interested in this side of the map.
Yeah, and, it's like I was talking about in the picks and bans. Shinigami absolutely should be looking to be the aggressors here on these objectives, because Lux cannot 50-50 it. They don't have that option with the Merlin. And, while with the Merlin, you do have the option in the late game, if you get a couple of picks, that does mean that you will burn whatever objective you're wanting very quickly. But you cannot 50-50 against this through space and time. 98 times out of 100, it's going to out-secure you.
Having those big burst abilities is really going to come in handy. But for Lux, their main burst is going to be either Spear of Mortal Pain or Warcry from the Kokolin, or looking at the Landfall from the Maui. And those are very valuable pieces that you just don't want to burn super early, because the rest of your team fight could feel a lot worse for wear. Speaking of team fight, Shinigami looking at a little bit of a scuffle with Lux in the jungle. Especially with Beacon about to spawn, it doesn't look like anybody's too interested in taking too much damage. So far, though, we have a slight lead peeling out for Shinigami. They definitely have had bigger leads so far this set after the first game. But right now, Lux does have the ability to turn around, looking like Raptor might be the one they're looking at, trying to run away, but Kaizo gets the solo kill in the mid lane. The burn coming out from Merlin going to be just too much for the Honest to handle. Here comes Landfall, though. Picks up 2, looking to try and secure the Kepri, but will get stunned out by the lightning. Going to find the stun, but a nice Blaze of Retribution to slow them down. Kepri going in for the Hug Bug mode. Going to be taking a lot of damage for it, though. Going to be forced to use his Scarab's Blessing to try and run away. Alpha Awaken still quarter HP under tower. Lux have the pressure in the duo side and in the mid now. So it looks like that Stygian Beacon is going to be going their way, especially with Cyranicus not having any health or mana left to try and contest.
Yeah, did I mention at any point that Merlin Fire does an absurd amount of damage very quickly?
Alpha Awaken falling extremely low. Mounted Archery finds the kill, and that'll be 2 picks in succession for Lux, turning it on Shinigami's head. They may not have the health bar to do the Gold Fury right now, but man, 2 kills in a row like that, that's got to feel great.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for. Shinigami had been building a lead to about 3,500 gold, just a minute and a half ago. And, that's not quite, game over territory, but it's definitely more gold than you would like to be down at 11 minutes. So great returns here from Lux, kind of evening that back up a little bit. Now we're down to around 2K. and that's a lot more manageable.
It definitely feels a lot better. What's not a great feeling though, Cyrianicus on that Thor in the jungle, being about 2 levels, maybe a level and a half up on the Nemesis, not the greatest feeling of the world. Everywhere else though, relatively even, slight advantage in the mid, but Merlin getting a nice solo kill into the Giannis is quite possibly to blame for that lead.
Oh man, with that pathing, for a second there, I thought the Goon Squad was about to roll up on Bologna. There, they looked like for just a second that there were 4 members headed that way.
Unfortunately, this time, it doesn't look like we're going to see anything like that breaking out just yet. As for now, though, they're definitely what word am I looking for here? Presenting themselves? Posturing. There we go. It's somewhere in there. Could be forcing the landfall to pull the beads off of Cyronicus very early, but that is still a Thor. Gonna have access to that dunk anytime he wants. Anvil at Dawn really is such a great rotation ability, but when you're taking some damage, gonna have to try and escape. A nice double stun. Beautiful plays from the Maui to just keep them there. The Nemesis doing some damage on the follow-up, but here comes Merlin around the side, gonna be forced to hammer out. Merlin Firesand's doing a lot of damage. Forced already into the air. Thor looking at where will be the right time to try and come in. Giannis trying to find some return, but a beautiful turnaround. Lux is just gone. Sorionic is taking him out with the help of the team. Shinigami just turned that on their head, and looks like the solo laners are now coming for their own turn in this scuffle. Through space and time coming out, almost catching the Giannis mid-dash, but just going to be trying to run away. Lux have a slight disadvantage on the number side, 4 against 5. Shinigami trying to continue the damage, but Thor going in with the portal, going to be forced to Aegis to try and run away, just buying some time. Beautiful, beautiful stun coming out from Alphen, buy some extra time. And Shinigami continuing to do some extra damage, but Tip Top buying a lot of space in the backline. Cyronicus will be able to pick him up though. And Shinigami have 2 kills now overall to 0. Not going to have the Gold Fury or a tower right yet, but they do have some low HP bars, so if Lux want to go in, the possibility is there if they can find the right opportunity. But Shinigami seems scary enough to them that they're not going to quite risk it. Shinigami looking to risk the Gold Fury, though. They still have the possibility to try and contest, and blinking in. Lux going to be trying to go in, but a nice stun from the Thor wall is going to convince him to back up, but a nice landfall to force it. Here comes through space and time. Not going to find any kills or any secures just yet, but a lot of damage from Lux, and they're going to have plenty of time. Thor coming right back in with the stun. Going to hammer away just in the nick of time. Lux trying to chase it down, but not going to be able to make it in time. The Thor will find the safety of Tower Raptor. Going to be taking a lot of damage for it. Beads will not be good enough to save you here. Randall will pick him up. Raptor getting just a little bit too forward. No portals available. And Lux will be the ones to pick up the Gold Fury this time. Now falling to half HP. The Shred coming and rearing its ugly head. Shinigami tried to pull it, but will lose it instead.
Yep, great call from Lux there. It's like I was talking about during picks and bans. They don't have the option to 50-50, so they're going to need picks, and they're going to need people to back. They got the pick on the Giannis. Now nothing out secures them. They have great burn. They pulled it. They got it. Great job. Gold lead is just erased.
Very solid turnaround from Lux. Having the wherewithal to get in there at just the right time, even with low HP bars, to turn around the gold fight and then get some picks off of it and take the Gold Fury. A beautiful heads-up play coming out from Lux. Basically just erasing that gold lead. Matter Archer will be forced off of Randall to try and get back to the safety of Tower for nothing burned by Alpha. Just the presence alone being 2 levels down. The Ishtar just that scary. Lux definitely playing this game a little bit more carefully, though.
Yeah, and you kind of need to. Um, Once again, we go back to like this Merlin. He's still working to get this build online. We're not at full potential yet. He does have a little bit of a lead over the Giannis, though. Once this Merlin hits his late game,
Thor being forced up into the sky very early, though, looking at the right place to try and come down, catch a couple of stuns, but instead going to be looking right at the Maui. Going to drop some damage, going to stun, try and hammer away. Does catch the Divine Judgment, but with Bologna coming in, dropping some damage around the backside. Landfall going to catch the Kepri, but Thorns will be popped, but taking a lot of damage from the Merlin now. Going to have to watch out in the middle of 3. Bologna trying to run away, does escape the stun, while Kukulin buys some time for the rest of Lux, trying to find their way back into the fight, and the Soul Laners poked out, going to have to escape. So are the jungles, though. And it looks like Lux going to be taking some positional advantage on this one, trying to catch out the Hug Bug. Going to be catching him up against the wall. Through space and time to buy some extra space. Will get Kepri out of there alive and without taking too much damage. With all of those ultimates dropped, Randall's the only one left with the ultimate available. But that mounted archery cannot be used for objective secure. So Lux instead going to look to go ahead and burn the Pyromancer. Saurionicus in the area looking to try and find a steal. Going to throw out a stun, looking for the double tap. Not going to be in time. Lux will find the Pyromancer. Not able to find any picks as of yet, though. And it seems as though for now, both teams are recognizing the damage output and looking for just the right time to go in instead of bashing their heads. So far, the patience is going to pay off for them.
Yeah, and Lux is doing a really great job with recognizing what's up and what's down. You know, both objectives have now been pulled. The first one, the Gold Fury, was pulled seconds after Giannis died, and then they just got the Pyro after confirming that Through Space and Time was down. So their timing on these plays is great. If they can keep this up, you know, they can look to push it into a gold lead. Not quite there yet, but, you know, 800, 700, 1,000 gold is not much. It's not much at all. It's still very, very playable for Lux.
Being as close as it is, it's very, very solid play. Even though Lux is down by 1 game, they're still keeping in it, got a level head, showing that they can still show up to these fights. They can make the difference. And overall, keeping their heads level, staying calm, and making the plays that they need to is a great effort. But forcing the beads out of Randall is going to be very good. Might even force out the mounted archery, but looks like it will have the safety of the team. So for now, they won't get any picks. And Shinigami's just going to have to try and find the right time to punish the Hachiman not having beads. But Thor going in on the Nemesis, going to be doing a little bit of damage, but just going to have to accept what they got and head out from there. Now that we've seen the tier 1 tower drop, we've seen a couple of towers go down. Looking at some of the build paths, do you see anything that really stands out to you?
Everything fairly standard for the most part. You know, Shinigami are running with 2 Void Shields. Which, I mean, you know, even as far as just base stats go, it's a very solid item, whether on the solo or the tank. You know, if you're looking for a little bit of extra protection going into the fights, definitely not a bad pickup. Build paths from the ADCs are going a little differently.
The fight going a little bit differently this time. Looks like Lux trying to get active after Shinigami picking up the Gold Fury, but coming in, nice double stun off of the dunk, but a nice double stun again off the Blades of Retribution, but going in on the Nemesis. Here comes the Bologna doing quite a fair amount of damage, and the side of Lux falling a little bit low through space and time to get some extra mobility, but cut off by the landfall. A beautiful Spear of Mortal Pain cuts Shinigami apart, and Randall is picking them off 1 by 1. So far, only the 1 kill, but health bar is very, very low. And the aggression from Lux off the back end of that is just a full green light. Nobody is safe. Trying to run away, going to force to beats and Aegis, but Colin stepped up just too far. Takes a tower shot. Raptor will pick up the solo laner. And Lux trade 1 for 1, trading their solo for the support with some low HP bars. Shinigami seemed reinvigorated, but Kaiser immediately shutting that down. Alpha Awakened already down, looking for the kill, will not be able to find it. Can of Beans picks it up. Randall taking out Saurionicus on the back end, though, and Raptor takes down Lux for his hubris, trying to get in there. Very ironic that Nemesis was getting aggressive, but now chasing down, trying to find the pick onto the Giannis. Randall has the double kill, looking for one more onto Can of Beans, hiding behind the tower. Here comes Malloy to try and find the stun. Gets a nice extra stun off the Hachiman. Trying to find it, but Can of Beans takes down the Maui with the help of Tower. The rest of the team is going to be in, and he'll be a 3-for-4? No, 4-for-4 trade. Kepri has already respawned, and Lux will not be able to do anything with it.
Yeah, that's just really unfortunate as far as the decisions that were kind of made there. Lux had the opportunity at the very beginning of that debacle to just kind of pull off and go pull that gold. They chose to run for the kills, and it didn't turn out as well as they might have hoped.
They did definitely start it off by getting the nice kill. Kaiser really turned that aggression on its head. Shinigami stepped up, immediately got picked off, but it just turned into a complete bloodbath, and everybody started dying. Chasing under the tier 1 tower turned just detrimental to Lux, and now the Gold Fury still stands, and nobody got anything out of it, and it just resets to almost a neutral state, where now all of the objectives are on the map, maybe a couple of towers missing, but by and large, everybody has the options on what to do, and they seem interested in farm this time.
Yeah, there were more kills in that last engagement than there were in the entire first 19, 20 minutes of that game. We were literally sitting at 7 kills total on the board. And then that last engagement added
were
8
8.
to it. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts.
Compared to game number 1, when they were keeping 1 kill a minute for almost the entirety of that first game, this is a lot slower overall. But so far, Lux doesn't have that sustain in these fights. They're just going in for the dive already. Going in. Now they're going to be catching a stun off of the swing. Going to be dropping the Divine Judgment onto the Kepri. Going to be forcing the Bug to pop the gold very early. But here comes the Eagles Rally to try and find some setup. But Thor coming in with the dunk on the top. Sir Anarchus picks up Lux through space and time. Will not find any kills, but does find some extra mobility to try and get them in there. Trying to find the kill now onto the Maui, but still very, very tanky for level 15. Will split up the fight with a beautiful portal play, bringing Bologna along with them, but leaving the 2 backliners alone to the mercy of the Thor. Finds the stun, finds the kill, shut down. Randall no longer on the rampage. Giannis dishing out some damage. Unstable Vortex is really going to convince Kaiser to stay under that tower, but you do have the Kepri back around this side of the map to try and pull this Gold Fury. Finally, Shinigami will be the ones to pick it up. No objective secure as far as ultimates go this time, but with just Merlin lurking around the corner, you shouldn't have to worry too much about the secure. And with Ionic on the job, the damage is good. Berserker's Barrage to try and find the kill. Not quite enough. They do still get the Primal Fury, but now got to watch out for the chase on the backside. Trying to find some damage getting in there. Maui's taking a lot of damage already now. Half HP stunned out by the wall. Going to be finding a little bit more with the Scourge. Trying to find one last bit of damage, and it will go to Can of Beans, taking out the Burnout. And so far, Shinigami have gotten nice 2 kills there, and the Gold Fury to boot. Looks like they might even look at the Pyromancer next.
Yeah, they've built the gold lead very quickly, at least comparatively to the, first half of this. Up to about 4,000 now with the addition of this Pyro. Should be around 47, 49, fair enough. Bad at math at times. They're doing what they need to be doing here. Bologna is in that late game. Got almost that full build online. She'll be doing even more damage with that Axe of Animosity. Thor's opting for more of a tank build here. And I kind of like it. He's still doing a lot of damage.
This is a bruiser build just like we saw in the Odin. Still doing the damage. Still almost getting those kills. Even just barely missing them by a hair's breadth. The rest of the team getting the follow-up and the secure. You've got the kill. You got the pick. you can now go for that objective, and it's really working out. Sarionicus may not be top damage on the team, but he's definitely got the rest of the team around him to pick up that slack, and the setup is all they need.
Absolutely, and he has absolutely no fear. That Thor will dive into the middle of anything.
I've seen the Thor dive directly into the middle of 3 multiple times this game, and it's almost surprising that Lux normally seems to be the one starting these engagements. Shinigami wants the objectives because they have the secure, but Lux taking the fights now, getting aggressive, trying to find the pick onto the Kepri a lot of the times, finding a nice double stun again. The Maui just consistently hitting 2 with that swing. But right now, no follow-up, but forcing the beads and Aegis out of the Ishtar very, very early. Shinigami going to be feeling great about that. Very valuable resources to be burned very early in this fight, especially when HP bars are mostly full by all accounts. But Thor going to be coming in, forcing the beads off the Nemesis too. These walls are just burning beads left and right. And now
Yeah, those are
Shinigami has a
big
lot of
relics down.
space. Been forcing a lot of damage off that unstable vortex. Colin forced to jump out, but a lot of damage onto the Hugbug. Thor not quite finding the stun, but Kepri falling extremely low. Gonna have to try and survive, but Lux will make sure that does not happen, going in with the Divine Judgment in the backline, trying to find the kill. Will buy enough time for Randall to pick it up, but Cannon Beans will pick up Lux on the backside, but now Cannon Beans falling very low in the middle of 4, gonna fall down to tip top, and it's just 2 members left, and there goes through space and time. Lux have all they need. The Fire Giants on the map. They're taking it. 1 for 3 on the kills board. They've got the numbers advantage. 4 now on this Fire Giant. Shinigami trying to come in, trying to steal away this now EFG. Colin is going to make sure Thor can't get very close, but you forgot about the Giannis. Watch him swinging around the backside. Look at the Fire Giant falling very low. Already down fast quarter HP, looking for the last second. Will not find it in time. Lux has it. They have it around 4 of their members, and they survive. They will be able to get away with that, and Shinigami will not have anything after that fight.
Yeah, and that's EFG. That's a big deal. This gold lead that Shinigami have built is about to evaporate. I'm looking to Lux here to kind of knock down these towers, get that gold, and then back and reset. You're still items down in some cases, so, you don't necessarily have to siege a Phoenix here if it looks shady. All you need to do right now is get these towers, get this gold in your pocket, and get these builds finished out.
Yeah, once they have those items online, Lux is going to be a lot better off in these team fights. Hachiman already starting to hit relatively hard, forcing the beads out of the Thor very early, looking for the stun. Not quite able to find it. Will get the hammer out, but Lux going to have the position to take this Stygian Beacon. Pyromancer and Gold both on the map. Looks like Primal Fury might be on the eyes of them first. May not be a bad idea, since this game very well could go to the next Fire Giant, but looks like they're still trying to get some wards out. Look for a potential pick. Shinigami looking to try and step in. Gold Fury falling very low. Not going to be able to quite find the steal. Here comes the landfall. Lux do secure it. Thor will be forced up into the sky, looking like a maniac to try and go back in, but instead going to look away. Going to try and get the bug back out, but not able to get away. Pinned to the corner. Skips Blessing by just enough time. Mounted archery going in to try and chase the bug. Not able to find it, but still able to walk away. Randall getting away with a very aggressive play. Can of Beans now trying to escape from 4 members of Lux, chasing him down, falling extremely low, but taking a lot of damage. Here comes some return, though. Onykus does have a great wall, double tap to buy some extra space. Is going to force a little bit of respect from the side of Lux. Now Shinigami trying to defend their tier 2 tower on the left side. Lux has EFG around 4 members, and that Merlin is just putting in work, doing exactly what the Cuckoo was doing last game on the other side, buying so much space and cutting off these fights. Shinigami just not able to find the right time to get in. Neither is Lux so far, though. Those Thor walls and double taps just punishing on the damage. But finally, with the minion wave, stepping up, trying to take the tower. Already down to half HP. Thor going up into the air, looking for the right time to try and make his entrance, but Shinigami's going to be on the retreat, and instead Thor is just going to have to back off. And Lux, looking at what they have and what Shinigami don't have, looking to try and get a little bit more aggressive, finding stun. Landfall going to be good onto Thor, pulled right back in. Here comes Eagle's Rally to save the team, but Tip Top going to be taking Sarionicus out and trying to run away. Here comes through space and time, not able to find the kill. Lux still barely surviving. Shinigami trying to run away. Scarab's Blessing to save the life of Canna Beans, barely living by just a fraction of HP. And Lux, they didn't get the bird, but they definitely got the tower, and they got the pick. They've at least got something. It seems for now they're satisfied with that. Maybe look at the tier 2 tower in mid, or even the Pyromancer, but for now, the Phoenix Siege is off.
Yeah, and this is what I was kind of talking about earlier. You know, they did go into that EFG down. You know, they were behind both in experience and gold. And now you are ahead in gold and experience. You have evened this game out and put it in your favor. So now that they have this gold in hand, you know, looking to see them back, spend some of this. You know, Hachi's sitting on 4K right now, opting for the dominance to round out that build. The numbers he is going to be hitting for are, they're going to be absurd.
And already swinging really hard, even without the EFG. If they manage to secure another Fire Giant, Lux is going to be sitting in the driver's seat for this game number 2. Right now, Shinigami, they've been seeing some rough fights. The Thor not able to get in. The Anvil of Dawn feels like really just going to waste lately. Through space and time, not able to find any secure. The Shinigami just not able to do what they were trying to repeat from game number 1. And Lux just getting the picks. Where can Shinigami make the returns?
I mean, you still have a good defense, right? Like, you've got Giannis, you've got Bologna, you've got Thor, you've got Ishtar. They're going to have to find their timing, because that seems to me is what's been off, is their timing. Um, you know, Thor ulting in without the ability to really follow. Oh well.
Landfall going to be
Let's see.
going to a bit of a waste in this fight. They're going to be going up into the air very early. Kaiser does pick up the hug bug. Capri falling very, very early in this fight. And now down their support. Not going to have the option to go in the way that they want to. Going to force the beads and Aegis out of the backline from Lux. But Shinigami taking a lot of damage in return. Going to have to try and run away. Sir Ionicus just gets picked by Randall. Not able to escape. Amount of archery to continue the chase. Alpha Waking falling very low. Quarter HP going to force the Blades of Retribution to try and run away. Barely alive. Eagles Rally not going to find the kill, but looking for some extra damage. Just getting tossed around through space and time. Barely threading the needle. Not able to find the kill. Tip Top picks up one. Looking for more now. Chasing down Raptor. Going to force the Aegis. Not able to find the kill, but Alpha Waken is back alive to try and slow down the onslaught onto the Phoenix. Trying to buy some time. Almost picks up Randall. Barely missing the last shots, but the Phoenix will still go down on the solo side, and Lux, with all 5 members left alive, but very low, are going to be looking to try and retreat. Raptor coming around the backside. Watch out for that unstable vortex. Those walls could be dangerous, but a landfall to try and force Alpha Awaken back at a base without any beads available. Raptor going to take some damage, but Maui is just continuing to harass the side of Shinigami, not letting them escape, and Lux is just going to be able to get out for free.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for Shinigami there is that by the end of that, Lux were in no way healthy enough to immediately go pull that fire. You know, you did lose a bird out of it, but as far as birds go, that's the best bird you could have lost. You know, the lane goes right next to the fire giant. It offers you the ability to both keep the lane pushed up and still potentially contest this EFG, because this next EFG is going to be big.
It could very well be game-changing or game-ending, especially if you can get a pick or two off of that. That could just be the gas button that either side needs. If Shinigami can get a couple of picks and secure a Fire Giant, That might be all they need to resume the presence that they had earlier. But right now, Lux really making it difficult for them. Their ability to just shred everybody. Where can Shinigami make some of the returns that they're looking for?
Well, first things first. Ishtar needs to finish her build out. Uh, One of the things that's making Hachi hit as hard as he is that glyph on this Deathbringer. He's only got one stack on it, but when you're combining it with that Hachi one, you're sitting at 100% crit chance, so it's a guaranteed crit. It's swinging hard. Um, Now that Ishtar has this Deathbringer online, she has the potential to box. Uh, they're gonna have to defend the CFG.
Already down past half HP. The time is running out. Lux dropping it under quarter HP. No secure insight. Lux has it for free. Shinigami not able to even step up one bit. Thor up into the air, looking for the time to drop in. Finds two, but taking a lot of damage in return. Alvaligan does pick up Lux, but triple on the landfall. Finds some extra backup. Kaiser is there with the help. Eagles rally to try and run away, but Randall has shut that down. Now the chase down has begun. Lux has taken down 4. Make it 5. Alternate timeline trying to run away. Aegis will not be able to buy time. Randall has triple kill, has the rampage. Lux has the deicide. And with the throne room exposed, they will have game number 2.
Very, very well played from Lux there. They played their comp well. We mentioned in picks and bans what they needed to do to kind of play around this Merlin and the Giannis with the better secure on the opposition, and they played it to near perfection.
That was a fantastic turnaround from Lux. They kept it very even for most of that game, but by the time it hit late, they turned the lead that Shinigami was trying to build and just ruined it. They took it, claimed it for their own, and made it everyone's problem. And of all the problems, Kaiser on this Merlin is a monstrosity. 48, almost 49,000 player damage. That is something, like we were talking about the Cuckoo after the game 1, that is something you cannot ignore or you will suffer the consequences.
Yeah, yeah. If you and I say this a lot, but it's like regardless of whether a god is meta or not, regardless of what's normally being picked and played, or which in this case Merlin is what I would consider to be meta. He's not the number one pick at the role, but he's up there. But regardless, if you have a god do what Kaiser just did, drop near 50k damage, burn these objectives, play these team fights as well as he did, don't let him play that god again.
That is not something they can let through in game number 3. But for right now, Shinigami's just going to have to take a second look and reevaluate their choices over a quick little break. And we'll be back with game number 3 here very shortly, so don't go too far. Hello, gods and goddesses of the battleground. Welcome back. It is game number 3, week 2. Lux Esports taking on the Shinigami for Underworld. This is a really exciting set. This has been neck and neck the entire time. Really only decided by a single fight either way. Once again, joined by Zombie Tantalus here. I'm glad you're here. This is some great action. How you feeling about picks and bans for game number 3?
Well, we banned the Kukulkan again. Fair enough. Uh, don't want to see that. Shinigami opting to ban the Athena and then back over with the Maman Brigitte. All very solid bans. Uh, I'm going to be interested to see if Shinigami maybe opt to ban this Merlin or maybe pick the Merlin or I have trouble envisioning a scenario where you give him that again.
Looks like Hachiman will end up being the one banned. In addition, Shinigami also banning out once again the Ganesh, who actually has a 100% win rate so far. Very impactful god, and it seems like a very good idea that they don't want it falling into the enemy's hands. But now that Hachiman is off the board, what do you think they're looking at to lock in first?
Well, I mean, with Hachi off the board, well, I was about to say Merlin. They didn't ban it, and you just put out 50k and a pretty whack stat line on it. So run it again.
Like you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And clearly, Lux Esports is trying to continue that train, just running the Merlin once again. Shinigami opting for the Bologna for the third time now. It's definitely been working for them so far. Their Bologna doing quite a fair amount of work in both games, so it makes sense why they want that back. But now that we're looking at a third pick here, Lux Esports banned the Vamana. They didn't ban the Thoth, so it looks like Shinigami will be the ones to pick it up this time.
Yeah, and that gives Shinigami two crazy strong picks. Hoth not quite as he and Giannis function a little differently. Toth is more of a bombardment artillery mage. So I think Shinigami are looking to kind of play through this Toth here. You're once again going to have a huge advantage in the objective secure department. And that final judgment can hit for absurd numbers in the mid to late game.
There have been times where I've watched a final judgment quite literally 100-0 somebody. And when you have a single ability slinging for 2,500 damage in that late game scenario, that alone is enough to make me want to buy Aegis. Having
Yeah.
that on such a short cooldown, now that you have the Charon as your support and the Bologna on the front line, this is going to be really scary if Lux gets hit with even a single hard crowd control.
Yeah, and we mentioned it when they played it in the first game with that Bologna. The Bologna is hard enough to fight, but you add in the addition of that Charon shield and the summon sticks. Those fights can get chaotic fast, and Bologna will be very hard to kill. On the Lux side, though, they've opted for the Ratatasker, and I love it. I love the Ratatasker.
Little bit of a switch up since we haven't seen it so far this game, but it's definitely going to be nice to have that extra mobility on the semi-global ultimate, the base movement speed from the Acorn, and overall the potential Rat has to just lock somebody down and just damage them to hell and back. It's really going to be scary for any Shinigami backliner, especially for that Thoth. If they catch that dash, that might just be a free trip back to Fountain. That's very much one way.
Yeah, it could be very
Take
much
pleasure
so.
in the crushing of one's enemies.
Depending on how this Toth plays the matchup, Rat is not as bad for Toth as Susano would have been. Maybe they didn't look at that pick for a reason. This Rat could be a comfort pick. Generally, the Susano is what you see thrown out to kind of counter the Toth Giannis type picks. Um, this Ravana lock-in. Oh, oh man, this dive from Shinigami is absurd. Lot of damage output and very hard to kill.
Speaking of hard to kill, Geb is going to come in very handy to try and slow down some of that damage that Shinigami side is going to be pumping out. Geb having the ability to just give that free shield to the teammate to make him
Now is
that
the
much harder to
time.
kill and add a Nike on top of that. Nike's not easy for the backliners to kill, especially if Nike can disarm the ADC and then reflect those autos. Any hunter going into that Nike, you're really going to need the help of your teammates to try and take them down quickly. Otherwise, the potential of Bullock's side to survive these engagements and then just shred the damage out, it's very dangerous.
It is. Um, Cernunos is going to round out the draft for Shinigami. And I will admit, I am a little surprised that I didn't see them go for the Rama.
Yeah, I have to agree. I do see quite a fair amount of Rama, especially with the Hachiman being taken off the board, the Onher once again being banned out by Lux. But going for the Kernanos, you do still have that good polymorph off of the hunt, so you can certainly slow down the Nike or the Rat, get some extra damage off of them with that. But overall, not having that base CC immunity in the kit into the Nike may not be the ideal situation. You can still dash away, but that slow off of Sentinel Zeus is really annoying. And when Rat can chase you and knock you up, and then stun you on top of that, you could be in some very real danger. So I think it's really just gonna. This may well come to how well the front line can dive either side. What do you think?
Well, that duo lane matchup, with the lock in of the Cernunos, pressure is just now seceded to Lux in that duo lane. Charon Cernunos are not going to be able to outclear an Ishtar. I think you may be right. Both sides are having an excellent dive. It very well may come down to who does it better.
And the scary part to me is, on top of all that, Lux has that Merlin. We saw how much that did in game number 2. Thoth has the ability to throw damage over those walls with that hieroglyphic assault. You have some very serious potential to, as soon as you round a corner, if you don't have a sentry ward across that entire path, that might just be the last steps you take, because you just get absolutely jumped. And quite frankly, with the amount of mobility that both of these sides have, this does not sound like a fun game to be a backliner, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be close, and honestly, if I just had to pick, I would pick the Shinigami roster on the condition that this Toth performs well.
That does make sense. If Thoth doesn't really perform the way you want it to, it definitely doesn't feel like the greatest pick. But even in that scenario, the good news is they definitely have some very solid secure on their side for objectives, especially with the help of that Eagles rally to maybe stun them just a little bit. Rav can get in the back and just disrupt them a little bit. Survives especially long with the extra mitigations from Mystic Rush. They have the potential to make those objective steals, but we'll just have to see how well that can actually perform, because like you said, if that Thoth can really do the work, like we saw Merlin doing last time, this could be a very, very scary stream. But we do have a slight little technical difficulty on the side, so it's just going to take a little bit longer to get into game number 1. So just have to have a little bit of extra patience with us while we get that sorted out. In the meantime, though, I just have one very particular question that I wanted to pick at. We see the rat for the first time. Now that it's going against this Ravana, where do you think the rat is going to be prioritizing their early and mid game ganks to keep the team ahead?
Well, I mean, your two obvious options are going to be either forcing duo lane pressure or attempting to dive a Toph. As hard as Ishtar should outclear Cernunnos, it could make trying to gank the lane a lot easier. Diving a Toph's never easy. He's got the evade and punish. He just gets away, stuns you. I would probably be looking for Rat to be seen around this Cernunnos and Charon a lot.
So you really are valuing that duo side.
I would be leaning towards it if I was betting on it. Yes, it's like I said, the Ishtar is going to have a very clear advantage, and with that, it makes your ganks a little easier because you don't have to necessarily worry about fighting into a minion wave, which especially in that very early can be the difference between getting a kill or getting it turned on you.
That is very, very true. Those early minion waves can beat your behind really hard. There have been a couple of times where I'm wondering, why am I suddenly 100 HP? I was just fine a second ago. Minions. They don't call them winions for nothing.
No, the amount of time I have spent in the duo lane, after accidentally taking minion aggro, running back towards my support, screaming, "No, not me, not me, not me!" It's those things hit, and they can do it a lot faster than you would think.
That damage really does stack up, especially for the first 2 levels when your max HP is not even 1,000. It really, really hurts. And I think the worst feeling is if you're trying to maneuver around and you get body blocked by some of the minions, you just it's pure panic. Especially if you don't have a jump or something like that available, or it's on cooldown still. Getting caught out by those minions is just
it's the worst feeling in the world.
It's terrifying because that might just be the difference maker, especially when Geb can knock you up, Ishtar can keep you in place a little bit longer. Both the Cern and the Charon do have a dash, but for example, if those get stunned out by say the rat, or they're still on cooldown, the possibility of you getting just body blocked to death is a very, very possible threat, especially in a game like this. Though,
yeah,
circling back for just a moment to my earlier question, I had personally almost thought the rat might spend some extra time in solo lane, since especially with Nike going into that Bellona, Nike feels really good against that Bellona, where not a whole lot of solo laners do. Do you think the rat might end up burning a rotation over just to try and get the Nike head early?
I mean, it's possible. With any game, and it varies jungle to jungle where they like to put their pressure. I haven't seen either of these jungles spend a large amount of time towards the solo lane, outside of some blue buff invades and an occasional gank here and there. Especially in the early game, ganking a solo is, kind of a 50-50 shot at best. Unless you catch them after committing an escape ability or very, very low health, you don't really have, in most cases, the kill potential on a god with a decent starting health pool and presumably starting defensive prots. Now, Ratatasker does have some prot shred on his flurry. So the gank is definitely possible. We'll just have to see how he decides he wants to play it and who he wants to play through.
The options are going to be on the table. The good news is we are finally going to be going into game number 3. So the time has finally come to see the end of this wonderful story. Shinigami and Lux Esports going to game number 3 of week 2 matchup. I'm really glad I could be here for this matchup. It has been a fantastic game to watch. This entire set has just been so much fun. And now that we finally see how everything is going to be turning out, talk to me about the builds. Do you see anything out of the ordinary? Do you see anything that might come back up later?
Well, you know, nothing super weird off the rip. Rat is opting for the Eye of the Jungle over the Boombas. Which tells me that Tanka Tasker may be in the works for this game. Which Tanka Tasker is a very, very viable option. With the prot shred on the flurry, the stats on the tank acorn, you get the flurry twice, you get some increased protections. Looking at him to go like what's the name of that item? Blast it. I've went dumb for a moment. It's I have completely lost the capability to draw this item's name out of my head.
I can't have you doing that to me. You're the one out of us here that's got to be the smart one. You'll remember it eventually. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I'll remember it after he builds it.
Well, we'll get there at one point or another. The thing I'm looking at is, it looks to me like that Geb is going into a prophetic cloak. Not normally somebody I think of as being a very efficient stacker of the prophetic cloak.
Maybe not as proficient as certain other supports, but the base stats of the item are still pretty good. Over the course of the item being released, they've reduced the amount of time it takes to stack. It's a little more doable than it was on release. I don't know if you remember it on release, but it was atrocious to try and stack on release.
It felt like it took at least 40 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. You weren't stacking that thing before 25 minutes in the best of cases. But yeah, so I'll be looking for Rat to maybe go a tank build here. With the Geb, probably prophetic into maybe Thebes. Other than that, though, not too much out of the ordinary, and they're playing this. Ooh.
Looks like the Rat's going over for this solo lane. Does manage to get Bologna down to about half HP, but so far, Bologna going to be healthy. And this sounds like a great opportunity to point out slight change on the roster. Sir Ionicus will be leaving the side of Shinigami. They did have to go. This time, Can of Beans, who was previously in the solo lane, will be swapping out for Brian, who has returned. But now coming in with a nice blink, catching out the dash. Now in trouble, the Lux duo lane going to be forced to pop the beads early, but Ravana chasing down, trying to find some extra damage. But a nice knockup from Geb will buy some extra time. And Lux will survive on the duo side, but with Shell and beads burned by the support and ADC. So a future gank is very, very much possible.
Yeah, at 2.5 minutes in, none of these beads are upgraded. And
going in for some damage, though. Geb falling very low. We might just see first blood, but Kurno's taking quite a bit of damage of his own, trying to just box against this Ishtar. It's going to be up to Karon to block some of those autos. And the threat of Ishtar just continues to be such a problem. Shinigami now going to be in a dangerous situation. Nike doing quite a bit of damage to that Bologna, chasing all the way back, trying to invade this blue buff. Bologna does not want to give it up, but here comes the Thoth. Watch out. Here comes the invade and punish. Hieroglyphic Assault doing some damage. Going to force the jump away, but trying to run away. It looks like Nike will end up going down, not able to escape this time. And blue buff will be secured by the Shinigami. First blood going the way of Can of Beans.
Yeah, great rotation there. Nike has that really, really great early clear. And, Bologna was kind of getting the worst end of it there. So, heads up play from Raptor there to kind of go over and help her. Oh, no.
Here comes, there it is, and the Sentinel of Zeus will be just enough chase down and damage. Tip Top getting a very quick return kill onto Brian, staying just a little bit too long. You could consider that welcome overstayed.
Oh, boy. Nike, took advantage of Brian there. He got a little greedy. Tried to stay around in the lane with almost no health, and he paid for it.
Paid for it dearly. Lux almost paying for trying to get underneath tower, but barely able to survive, dashing away to the safety of his own tower. Cannabin's looking around, seeing if he can find something. But now, Tip Top's got to watch out. Brian is still alive and back to do some damage. Nike falling relatively low. Still able to survive, though. Without Sentinel of Zeus, your ability to try and sustain that fight is severely diminished, and you got to watch out. That Scourge could hit very hard with that Axe proc.
Yeah, and, Bologna's got this full phalanx on now. So her boxing potential in that lane just went up by a considerable amount.
Especially considering that it is still Bologna. Her boxing capability in lane is through the roof, especially with that golden shard. The ability to give not only yourself, but your minions those extra prots, and then still cleave all the minions with your autos, even when you don't have the hammer out, it's a very real threat that even somebody who counters auto attack based characters like the Nike has to watch out for. Merlin picking up the solo kill on Raptor again. Kaiser just cannot be stopped. He is a menace.
He is indeed a menace, and this is
Blink coming out from the Rav doesn't quite find the root, but finds quite a bit of damage. Finds a good slow, trying to go in with some more damage. Overhead kick, not gonna be enough though. Does force him under tower, but the Merlin is not deterred at all. Still trying to defend the precious money from that meteor. Will not be able to get the Jimmy this time. Gotta watch out though. Ravana does still have that root just out of range, so Kaiser will live for now.
Yeah, and this what I was saying before that happened. This is part of the reason that at the end of that last game and in the picks and bans, I advocated for maybe banning this Merlin because the dude is clearly comfortable on it. He's clearly good at it, and you are clearly having a problem with it. And he's showing it here. There is a 2-level lead in the mid lane right now.
Lux already going up 2-1 on the kills board. Not quite 7 minutes in just yet, but that Merlin getting that solo kill is going to make a very big difference. And you were talking on the desk earlier about just how impactful that could be. But here comes the rat coming in, diving onto the tower. Sentinel Zeus already popped, and that will be good enough. Chaos Tower will take down Tip Top, but it will not go to Brian. And unfortunately, the Charon will not be able to get some of the sticks there just yet. Here comes Mystic Rush, tries to find the root, does find it. Can of Beans picks up the return kill on Deluxe. And that will be a 1-for-1 trade, even though Tip Top went down to tower.
I would like to note that I was wrong. Oh, Hachi.
Trying to get in. Does find some damage with the help of the Wild Hunt, but not quite able to find the kill for either side. Both the ADCs will be surviving. So far, though, Lux taking a very solid early game this time around, coming out with the lead to start out this game number 3. And it looks like we are off to an explosive start.
Yeah, and this duo lane's looking about how I would expect with the pressure differential from the Ishtar. Um, I was wrong earlier though. It does not look like Rat is taking the tank Acorn.
Still going to be going the way of Thistlethorn, get those extra acorns, an easier stun, and some extra damage. Definitely not going to feel terrible. But going back to earlier, on the desk, you mentioned how that Thoth was a real question mark for you. You're talking about how if it does perform, it could be really great for the Shinigami. If it doesn't perform, it could turn out very poorly for them. How are you feeling about it so far?
Well, he's obviously he's behind a little bit. Um, this isn't really his phase of the game to shine. So I'm holding off judgment so far. Um,
You're holding
once
final
we
judgment.
oh, oh god, I thought it and you said it.
You
I
thought
don't know
it.
what's worse. Oh, yeah,
You
oh
set it
boy.
up perfectly. You walked right into that one. Come on. Yeah, walking
Uh,
into quite a bit of damage. Ravana trying to chase him down, though, getting some extra damage off the poke. Not going to be popping the final judgment just yet, just like you. He's going to be holding it. But Merlin's still plenty healthy. Got to watch out for that damage. It is quite dangerous of its own accord. Rat coming in. Some of the sticks going to be forced. Going to get some nice follow-up, though. Aegis will be forced out of Merlin very early. Final judgment does find it. Damnation from the Charon will actually be enough to secure the kill, but Rat does get a good stun. Going to force the Ravana to try and get out of there. And it looks like Shinigami will be taking a 1-for-0 trade in the mid lane.
so we kind of see it there. Uh, Toth outranges Merlin by quite a bit. Um, and in that fight, Merlin put out his rotation of abilities, but Toths come up faster and they go farther. So we can kind of look to that going towards your mid game and your late game. Oh
Both falling
no.
extremely low. Minions could be the determining factor. The cooldowns. The auto attack does it. Kaiser picks up the kill again.
That is just not what you needed. That
Oh,
is not what you needed at all.
that was absolutely tragic. Falling so close. Minions could have decided that fight. But just one last basic attack for Kaiser as the ability rotation came up for Raptor. That is a heartbreaking kill. That was so close to going either way. That could have been a 1-for-1 trade on each other, actually.
Yeah, and that just kind of goes into one of those scenarios where like if it works, it's great, and if it doesn't, uh it's even worse because now you're definitely behind.
That's not going to be a great feeling for the Shinigami mid laner. Lux continuing to go for some aggression onto this Ravana, not quite able to find his stride despite being 2-0-1. Some of the sticks coming out to try and peel out for the Kronos. He's already forced, though, trying to go under the tower. Merlin gets some damage, finds it. Kaiser on the killing spree, picked off for it. Can of Beans does find the kill. Raptor on the rotation, trying to find some damage. Using that range to great advantage. Here comes Mystic Rush, and the beads does not matter. Double kill for Can of Beans. And the hieroglyphic assault under the tower. Lux is not even safe there. You gotta watch out, because that range, you were just saying it, Tantalus. That range is just becoming a problem. And it seems to be everyone's problem right now.
Yeah, speaking of becoming a problem, or rather is a problem, this Ravana is a problem. He's off to a
4-0-1.
4-0 start.
That is
Um,
not what you want to give the enemy jungler, but I see this. I'm going to go ahead and ask you. On the Ravana, I see a Hydra's Lament. How do you feel about that?
I don't hate it. I think it goes pretty well with the build. One of the big things you're doing when you're playing Ravana, you're hitting the enemy with that root. You're hitting them with your one. and you're autoing in between. And Ravana's cooldowns are fairly short as far as it goes. So, I think you're getting pretty decent value out of the Hydras. It's free pin, it's a little bit of mana, it's cooldown, it's extra damage on the basics. It's what you would want on Ravana.
Mostly the reason I see people not pick it up is because of the auto attack chain, but right now, Bologna in some trouble, baiting out an early jump from the Nike, does find a nice Eagles rally with the Ravana coming in, gonna force Rat up into the sky, barely makes it out, gonna have to retreat immediately. Geb on the way, try and make some plays for the rest of the team. Totem seems to be the priority here, but Nike gonna be going in, right in with Sentinel Zeus, but beautiful Cataclysm. Geb just pops the damage, Tip Top picks up the kill, Can of Beans already gone, shut down now. Not 4-0 anymore, but Gold Fury being picked up. Here comes Blades of Retribution. Try and buy some time. Not going to find the final judgment for Secure, but Shinigami still pick it up anyway. But watch out for the Merlin. Your Karen is already very low, and a couple abilities could do it. But now, Kern getting a nice trade, but Rat is already here. Kern trying to run away. Picks up the kill in return anyway. Lux finds the trade of ADCs, and a beautiful turnaround. Shinigami do get the Gold Fury, and Lux respond with an ADC trade, but they also get the jungle on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to put your gold lead to about 1,000 in favor of Shinigami. Looking like they're diving this T1 tower here in mid. Toth's just going to have to kind of back up and let it go. He's 3 levels down now. Not really any choice but to just back up and give it.
Unfortunately, that tower is going to go down, and Shinigami's gold lead that they had just worked for is just going to disappear. Trying to reduce that gold lead that Lux had taken, unfortunately just not able to find it here. They made some good plays, but Lux doing a very good job in this game number 3 of keeping the pressure on them. And Brian trying to keep the pressure up in the solo lane, but this Nike seems to be the answer that they've been looking for.
Yeah, I am not a solo player myself. I always say if you want to lose a game, throw me in solo. Although apparently jungle is also an option for that. But, Nike seems to be doing extremely well into this Bologna, and given the
Here comes the
kits,
Cataclysm, forcing the Aegis out very early from the turn. Will be able to survive just a little bit longer, though. No help in sight, so going to have to try and defend the tower on his own. Unfortunately, all he has is the Wild Hunt. Going to buy some time and some damage onto the Gab, but going to be able to dash away from the Ishtar. With the tower already dropped, you're going to opt to just go ahead, back off, take the farm that they've got, and Lux will continue their game of building a slow but steady advantage for themselves.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about during the picks and bans, is like that's what Ishtar's bringing to this. She has pressure.
Oh,
And
watch out, Raptor. Watch out for this Merlin. He's going in. Caught in the item store. Aegis forced out. The fire stance is enough. No time to dash. Here comes Arriva blinking around the side. Going to force out the Aegis very early, trying to find just a little bit more damage. Backflip, not enough. The Geb shield comes in. Flickers away from the Mystic Rush. The Karen not able to get some of the sticks out in time to save him, but the Geb has done the job. And now Kernanos at danger being picked up by the Rat, but ends up falling to the Ishtar anyway. And it just went from bad to worse to tragedy for Shinigami.
All right, Kaiser's going to need to send Tracer a thank you card or a 6-pack or something. That was nice.
Now Can of Beans trying to escape from 3 in the mid lane, and unfortunately it's just up to the Karen. Now here comes the Geb ulting to keep him in, and Lux will pick up the kill. And Lux are just continuing on an onslaught, and right now Shinigami just not having any answers for them.
No, and they're not going to, with Toth being down as hard as he is. Merlin is almost a full item ahead, close to probably 2.5 levels, and that puts Lux in the driver's seat right now.
Really opens up the map to rotate too. Without that Thoth having those levels, it's going to make rotating as a jungler a lot easier. Especially going to the dual lane once again. That turn now being 3-1. Not the greatest feeling. But Lux continuing to just make it their problem, and here comes Rat going up into the air, looking to go ahead and get aggressive, landing right on the Charon, finds the good damage, and picks him up before some of the sticks can even get out. Now Nike continuing the dive, finds a lot of damage under the tower. Geb going to be ulting under the tower as well. But here comes Bologna around the backside, up, down, and with the Eagles rally, trying to find the kill onto the Rat, almost finds it, forcing him to dash away, but the blink will secure Rat the safety. Now Bologna's just going to have to escape, and so far, only the Charon will fall along with that Pyromancer. But Lux, they're not done yet. They're going right for the beacon.
No, and I expect them to maybe even look to pull this gold after. You know the final judgment's down. You've got the pressure. You've got the burn. Get the gold.
You have the time. You have Objective Shred with that Merlin. The Fire Stance putting in so much value. And Lux, they don't even have to worry. This Oni Fury has gone their way. Shinigami not even interested in stepping up. They know the consequences now.
Yeah, no, and gold lead's sitting at around 6,000. It's at 53, was 55 a second ago, but it's a pretty substantial gold lead. You're kind of into the territory at a 5-6K lead, where you're starting to have items online before your opposition, and they are really taking advantage of this very well, and that's what they need to be doing. They need to be keeping their foot on the gas pedal, because one thing, that Toth is a time bomb. If you give this game long enough and let him catch up and hit that late game, we were talking on the desk about the 2,400 damage final judgments. And if you give him that time, he will get there.
It's just going to take a little bit of time. Lux not willing to let him have the time, though. Tier 1 tower and solo now being taken down. No remaining Tier 1 towers for the side of Shinigami. And Thoth being caught out of position, possibly. Merlin looking at invading him, but not able to find anything just yet. But now Bologna going to be taking some damage. Rat does find a good stun, trying to use the bludgeon to buy some time, maybe force some damage. Rat going to go up into the air to continue the chase down. Brian's going to have to be very careful. So is Raptor, though. Rat continuing to look in the air, doesn't quite find the knockup, but luckily not going to find too much damage. Here comes some of the sticks, very aggressive, but does not catch the Rat. Instead, slows down the Gev a little bit on his rotation over. But so far, Bologna will survive. Shinigami won't have anyone going down just yet, but Cannabines getting caught out, going to be taking a lot of damage, going to have to run away. Here comes Sentinel of Zeus, going to force the Mystic Rush to try and escape, barely making it under tower. And for now, Shinigami will survive, but they have taken quite a fair amount of damage and gotten some ultimates out of the way in the process.
Yeah, Shinigami at this point need to secure what farm they can and just try and get it. They probably end up giving up this fire. You may have to.
Fire Giant being pulled. Shinigami not willing to drop it, though. At least showing some presence. Kurno's taking quite a fair amount of damage. Watch out for the Gabby. Does still have that ultimate available. Nike jumping in the back. Bologna getting aggressive on the Ishtar, but caught in the middle of 4. They're still winning. Lux getting in. Rat coming up. Finds the knockup. Finds a lot of damage on the Raptor. Falling very low, but so is the Rat. Going to have to try and escape. Can of Beans picks up Lux around the backside, but Bologna is still continuing the onslaught. Tip Top does pick up Raptor in the back. Bologna's fallen very low against all 3. Trying to run back now, the Stone Laners. Brian won't be able to escape. Kaiser picks that one up, but here comes some of the sticks to get some extra movement speed. Sentinel of Zeus buys some extra time. Tip-Top will be able to run away, but at the cost of your Geb. Can of Beans picking up that one. And now Shinigami left relatively healthy with some low HP bars on the side of Lux. And that'll be a Pyromancer for Shinigami.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you needed. I've said it before, and I'm sure I'll say it 100 more times casting, but when you're down, a significant gold lead, a significant XP lead, any win is a huge win. You got a couple of kills, you got some shutdown gold, you got an objective. That's huge.
Even if it's only that runic bomb, that still sells for 33 gold. It's just as valuable as a ward, And we all know, you've probably heard your captain say it at least 7 times, wards win games. So, every little bit will come in handy. And Shinigami, every little bit that they can stop the advantage of Lux, kind of minimize some of the damage, that's going to be a great thing for them. And like you said earlier, that Thoth is going to be a ticking time bomb. The longer this game continues on, it's just going to continue catching up in those items that Merlin has.
Yeah, and we are kind of into that territory now. Merlin is at 20, and he is approaching full build. Looks like he needs about another 3,500 gold to hit full build, assuming that last book there is going to be into a Soul Reaver. Toth is definitely behind it, but he can still do damage, and they have just shown that they are capable of still fighting. So this is not over.
Shinigami may be a little bit down, but definitely not out. Unfortunately for them, Summon the Sticks and Mystic Rush are going to go a little bit wide. They won't be in time to steal away the Gold Fury. And now that they don't have those resources available for this next fight, Lux really going to be looking at pressuring this Fire Giant. Shinigami not willing to give it up for free, but they're still going to have to be cautious of the damage. Though dropping some damage across those walls is going to come in handy. But when Merlin can do the same thing, it's only a matter of time before somebody gets poked out. Right now, it seems to be a very even game state. Now, overall, both sides just waiting for the other to slip up. Overall, not able to quite find the right time to go in. Just holding on a little bit longer, try and take a little bit more poke. But it seems to be the Ravana getting a lot of that poke onto him. Watch out for the Gab. Waiting for that ultimate. Gonna find a lot of damage. Gonna find a nice little bit extra damage immunity. Geb gonna be falling though. Cataclysm not in time to save his life. Ava Awaken picks up one. Summon the Sticks to buy time on the Nike. Rat trying to go around the back. Flurry will not find the kill, and Charon will continue to keep them alive. Here comes the Damnation to get some extra damage onto that Nike and the shields to help the team out. Not able to find much more than that though. The follow-up, not enough to get the kills, and it'll only be the Geb so far that falls in this engagement.
Yeah, and what we're seeing there, what we saw there, it really goes back to these last 2 games. Well, this game and the last game, on this Merlin, how much I've stressed and talked about the lack of a secure, because that's what we saw there at that fire. Lux cannot, even with Toth behind, they cannot pull this fire in front of their face.
Looks like Shinigami not afraid of that alternative at all. They're going to go ahead and start the fight. Here comes Tip Top to try and buy some time. It's going to force them to drop the Fire Giant. But overall, Cannon Bean's picking up Kaiser around the back. That's going to be huge. Mystic Rush coming in. Triple Cataclysm from the Geb to buy some extra time. But the Wild Hunt shuts it out. Lux already picked. Can has the double kill. Now looking for more. Though trying to drop some damage to secure the kill into the Nike. But they will just take the Geb instead. Brian finds that one. And now Shinigami have 3 picks. Only 2 left alive. Solo and ADC, but they cannot do too much on their own. Fire Giant just going to be picked up by Shinigami. And this is going to be their objective, to drop Lux, not even close to stepping up right now. But as much as Shinigami have that secure on the Final Judgment, the burn not quite as fast. They don't have that Merlin after all, but they're still able to take down the Fire Giant. Lux not going to be close enough to try and contest, and Fire Giant will go around the belts of all 5 members of Shinigami. This entire game is now being turned on its head. Lux is going to have to be careful this next fight.
Yeah, and you mentioned it was taking them some time to kind of get that fire, but when you kill 3 members of the opposing team, you have that luxury. That is the one thing you have in abundance, is the luxury of time on that fire. You can take within reason as long as you need to on it, because there's no one to contest it. Looking to see Shinigami here clean up towers and, once again kind of get some gold in hand and get these builds rounded out, because you are still down a little bit. And they need to
Lux
bear
just
that in mind.
dreading the Gold Fury. They're going to be able to secure the Gold Fury too, but watch out for Shinigami coming around the backside. They're now chasing it down. Swift Voyage going to row his boat all the way in. Only gets a route onto the Geb, though, but that seems to be a fine target for all of them, dropping plenty of damage. But here comes a Cataclysm. The return damage is good. Sentinel of Zeus to buy some extra time. Very tanky. Here comes Rat up into the air, looking for the right target. Going to go ahead and drop right on top of Can of Beans. Going to force Mystic Rush out. Try and escape. Shinigami taking a lot of damage. Nike going in, finds a double knockup off the jump. And now the fight is split. Shinigami trying to escape, but Lux trying to wrap around the backside, looking for the right time to engage. Not going to find the opportunity that he's looking for. The sustain from the Fire Giant on Shinigami is enough to make Lux back off. And B's already popped. Aegis not going to save you here. Randall, be picked. Not even popping the Aegis. It's just not going to be enough to survive this time. Lux now down their ADC. Swift Voyage to catch the Merlin. There goes that alternate timeline. Final Judgment not finding the kill. The Aegis to survive a little bit longer. Hieroglyphic Assault, not enough range. And Shinigami barely misses taking out the mid, but no more access to that. Another triple Cataclysm from the Geb, but Can of Beans has found Lux around the back. Geb trying to escape from him, but Merlin doing enough damage on his own. Takes him out. Kaiser has the shutdown, and now Shinigami down their jungle. They're going to have to back up a little bit with those low HP bars and respect how much damage Kaiser has.
Yeah, and, you know, that's okay. The gold lead has evaporated. So, you know, Shinigami
On
are
the
sitting
sticks
in
under tower, rowing his boat all the way in, waiting for the current to get there, dropping the Runic Bomb defensively to try and get the boatman away from him. He is tired of it. Kaiser wants nothing to do with that, and Shinigami seemed deterred by the Runic Bomb.
Yeah, I mean, Charon's low. You know, not going to be able to sit and tank that tower for any significant amount of time at that kind of health. So their options there were pretty limited. I do think I would have liked to see Charon back and reset with the rest of the team. But they've still got fire buff on their ADC. Probably another 40, 50 seconds left on it at this point. You got the bird, and that's really the big thing. You've evened up the gold lead. You've got the bird. You got the good bird. You are in a really good position for this next fire.
Yeah, like you said, they got the left bird. That's the most important one. All the way on the other side of Fire Giant. That takes so long to try and rotate from unless you take that teleporter across the map. But most people don't bother with that because it just lets everybody know where you are. So right now, Lux, they gotta be careful. With one bird down, the Titan can start getting chipped away at by those fire minions. Or of course, Merlin can just go in and do that much damage to them anyway. Shinigami's just gonna be able to bait out the time clock on this one. If they can survive the poke from Merlin and not take too much damage, they can let those minions force someone to back and take the advantageous fight. Or it looks like Balone is just going to go in on that Merlin, popping thorns very early, falling very low. Here comes the Eagles Rally, though, trying to get in. Forces the bees off the Ishtar. Merlin is now completely separated from his support. Geb rolling in some of the sticks to try and split it up. But there are 4 back here. But Shinigami instead looking for the picks. Fire Giant not even up yet. They have to try and go for another pick, but their solo laner is going to have to back. And for now, Lux may not have beads on their ADC, but they do have a little bit more time.
Yeah, you know, that just means at this point, Ishtar is going to have to play this next fight a little more carefully. You know, she does have CC immunity on her ult, so she's not completely defenseless, but she's going to have to be careful.
Fire Giant already pulled Karen, taking a little bit of damage. The rest of Lux is coming around the side. Rat does still have ult. The ability to rotate is still there. Bologna not quite able to ult just yet, but here comes the Nike doing a lot of damage, already forcing a lot onto the backline. Shinigami's going to have to try and back out after now about half HP. Is going to find some damage on the Geb, but not enough to get them out. Bologna trying to take the 1v2 in the back. Kaiser takes him down. Here comes some of the sticks, though, to try and break up the fight a little bit. Not going to be able to buy him any time, though. Already fallen. Shinigami's going to have to be very careful. Here comes the Nike jumping in. Rat already in the air. Raptor is going to be caught out by it. Already taken down. Luck's going to find one. Now finds the double kill into Awakened. And there goes the triple. Kaiser with the fifth. And that is going to be all 5 down for Shinigami. Lux has the deicide. All 5 members left alive. And now they're going to be looking at the Fire Giant. And this time, it's EFG.
Yeah, with that EFG around their belts, you at this point have 20 seconds before anyone on Shinigami is even up. Although this fire burn going a little slower than you might expect, they are at least going to clear towers here. I don't
Their
know
left
that you
bird gonna
necessarily
fall.
have the time for a bird.
Their left bird is going to fall to the remaining fire minions, but they should be able to pick up 1, maybe even 2 birds. Mid lane going to be started by the rat. Here comes Bologna to try and buy some extra time for the rest of the team to spawn in. And it looks like Lux instead just going to be playing safe, back up, maybe even just push down left lane first.
Yeah, it's, unfortunate timing. As far as it goes for Lux, they did lose that left bird again. And, that's why that bird is considered the best bird. That's why it's important, because it is so hard to keep that lane pushed up and still maintain a 5-man presence over near that fire. And, they did group up for the fire and they lost it. But you got EFG.
Yep, that is very true. Lux has EFG around all 5 members, and that's going to be really important for these next fights, especially if they're trying to siege down that left lane. When you're going into something like that, Charon, like the Krynos, just the AoE of the Wild Hunt can really slow you down or force the beads, and that gives somebody like the Bologna all the time in the world to just beat you down. So the siege defense on Shinigami feels really solid. And it's going to be up to Lux to really get the right timing if they want to break that defense.
Yeah, in order for Shinigami to pull off a defense here, they are going to have to find an answer for Nike. Nike is doing so much damage, and she is so hard to kill.
They do have a Sunder on the Charon, but I don't see any horrific emblem. So they have one good way of trying to take out those shields. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough alone to take down the Nike. Instead, Tip-Top's just going to be running right in, forcing a lot of damage. Here comes some of the sticks very early to try and split the fight. Gab going to pop the Cataclysm. Bird's already gone, trying to run away. Falling extremely low. Lux picks up Can of Beans, and that will be one already gone. Wild Hunt will force the beats off the Ishtar, taking a fair amount of damage from it, too. Going to have to be very cautious, otherwise you could find yourself taking a lot more damage than you planned for. Midbird already gone, though. Shinigami's base is just being cracked wide open. Lux looking all the way over to the right lane. Gonna have to take down the tier 2 tower first. But Shinigami not quite able to do enough. Finds a good route onto the rat. Not able to find enough follow-up to get a kill, though. And already Balloon taking a lot of damage, stepping up just a little bit too far. Kaiser picking up Brian, and Shinigami left with 3, only against 5. Lux going right in for the bird. It's going to fall very quickly. Oath tries to find the final judgment, does not find the kill, and now charging into the throne room, Raph dashing in. Kaiser picks it up, finds the rampage. Lux takes down by Alpha Awakened, but the alternate timeline from Raptor to buy some time. Kaiser has a double kill. Titan is still alive, though, still looking relatively healthy. Alpha Awakened is alive, just trying to survive against 3-4 members. But here comes the Nike to try and do a little bit more. Mystic Rush to try and buy some time. Geb is still living. Alternate timeline popped. Randall has Can of Beans. The Titan falling even lower. Alpha gets it, but not in time. Lux take the game number 3.
Shinigami put up an excellent attempt, and Lux, between that Merlin and the Nike, not to take anything away from the rest of the team, they played very well together. But that Merlin and Nike combo combined for almost 70,000 damage. Uh, you cannot overstate how much that Merlin did for the comp and how much that Nike did.
between the Nike just buying infinite space, the Rat being able to get in and around those fights so effectively, going through the cosmos. It was such a rough time to be in the backline of Shinigami, no matter how much damage they did, and they still did a fair amount themselves. It just was not enough. Raptor going 0-6-9, but still dropping 28,000 damage. They tried so hard. But unfortunately for them, one team does have to lose, and Shinigami will be the ones to go down this time. It certainly was a fantastic effort the entire time. There were even moments when they could have had it. They were able to get Fire Giant, they just weren't able to get the win. But for now, they do still have a fair amount to go off of. They had a sub the entire set, going from solo to jungle in game 3, and even then put up a very real fight. Unfortunately, this time, it just won't be enough.
Yep, and that gives you the opportunity, especially when you have a close set like this, that gives you the opportunity for a good in-depth VOD review. And you learn from these mistakes, you don't make the same ones again, and you look to next week.
That may just be what Shinigami has to do. They've definitely got some good stuff to work off of. They have great foundations, and their raw mechanical skill was really shining today. Lux shined just a little bit brighter. Overall, that is going to be the content for this week 2 matchup between Lux and the Shinigami teams. Well played to both of them. Slightly better by Lux to take a 2-1 victory in this set. But I hope you all have really enjoyed this content. That was a fantastic game to be watching. The set was incredible to be watching. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. I've been by joined by Zombie Tantalus. I've been your host, Jiren Lamb for the night. Please show your love for the Soul Slaw. He's been awesome bringing all this content to you. And of course, thank you all so much for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful night.